By the law offices of Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-97.
All right, going to make Mike Saw here.
And now on your ESPN station in Phoenix, ESPN 620, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Well, the greatest show on grass has begun. The 2025 WM Phoenix Open is here. Welcome in. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B out here at the WM Phoenix Open Draftkings Sportsbook, which they call the 19th hole. It's a must-see experience. 2,700 square feet of video walls. This is probably one of your best-kept secrets if you are kind of scrambling to get tickets to the WM Open, as just about everything is sold out. Here, what they have is what they call a credential. You get a credential. So each credential is good for admission to the DraftKings Sportsbook, which they have it all set up outside and inside. A late buffet is included. Beverages and bar drinks are available for purchase, but they do have some drink tickets you can buy. I believe it's $80 for 10 drinks or 8 drinks for $80. $10, you're going to save about $15, $20. And it includes general admission access to the WM Phoenix Open. Now, the price is $175 Wednesday and Thursday, and then it goes up to $225 Friday and Saturday. So if you are interested in doing that, and I strongly encourage you looking at it for an option, because you could be out at the Open, but then you got a home base, which is here at DraftKings Sportsbook. Go to WMPhoenixOpen.com. That's WMPhoenixOpen.com, and you can just go into tickets, go down to general admission tickets, and you'll see the DraftKings Sportsbook. Click on that, and then you are all set. So I strongly recommend you look into that if that's something you want to do. We'll be here today and tomorrow. Wednesday we'll be at a Putting World, and then Thursday back to our regularly scheduled program at Twin Peaks in Tempe. Now, got a lot to get into today, of course, with all the NBA trades. Do want to remind you our big party, which is at Weekapaw on Sunday for the big game. Doors open at 2. It's at the Weekapaw Casino Resort. It's free, no cover charge, no drink minimum. We're giving away cash. We're giving away TVs. We're doing all kinds of stuff. We got a squares promotion. We got a props promotion. We got a progressive jackpot. We're doing $4 Dos Equis and all kinds of drink specials, unbelievable food specials. So a ton of action there on Sunday. Now, if you do want to actually get a room like Jimmy B, all you got to do is call the casino and mention the big game party discount, the room rate, and they will hook you up for a $159 room rate. Normally, I think $269, $289. So it's a great deal, and you can take advantage of it now as supplies last.
You feeling it over there, Mr. Philadelphia Eagle? You're getting excited for your Eagles and Chiefs?
No.
Getting hyped up already?
No, it's only Monday.
Yeah.
And, dude, you've been doing this for 20-something years with me. Do I ever get excited about sports?
Not really.
No.
There's the truth right there.
I just don't. I'm not that fanatic. I don't get crazy about that.
I remember when you guys beat the Patriots, the Philly special.
I don't play for them.
Well, I know, but you're a big fan. I mean, a lot of folks,
I'm not cheesy like that.
A lot of folks get a little geeked up. They'll be arriving there on Weekapaw on Sunday early, getting ready to have their attire on, their Eagles attire on. For good luck, what superstition jersey are you going to wear? And are you going to break out the what was the mask? What was the mask they won with the Philly special against the
Patriots? It was the dog mask.
The dog mask, yeah.
I have it, but I'm not. I looked at my I have a Hurts jersey.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a Donovan McNabb jersey, well, I'll never wear again. I have a Randall Cunningham.
Sorry, Donovan. Yeah.
I have a Randall Cunningham jersey.
Yeah.
But it's signed.
Yeah.
So you can't wear that. That's dorkish.
Well, if
you don't wear, I see.
You don't wear a signed jersey?
No.
I know.
Give me your man card right now.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
I know guys that don't. I mean, I know women. My wife wore her Brock Purdy signed jersey.
Stupid. It's absolutely just the dumbest thing ever.
She wanted to wear it. I said, okay, you're welcome to wear it.
I'm not going to argue.
If you're going to, why? Because the problem with that, it ruins the jersey.
No, she was
the value of the jersey goes down if you're wearing it. What if you get beer spilled on it, or the signature gets smeared? No, that deserves to be in a frame
Oh, he
or
eventually will
hanging
be.
up somewhere.
Him and George Kittle's jersey.
Now it
eventually
smells
be in
like
there.
perfume. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
That
the-
is just
the,
dumb.
the scent. I totally disagree. I saw
Of
several
course,
people.
it's your wife.
Well,
you're
yeah.
You're not going to disagree.
But
with
Rock,
your
I
wife.
saw several people sign jerseys at that card.
Yeah, they're dumbasses
San
too.
Francisco.
Absolutely dumbasses.
The one
The
dude.
dumbass for somebody who's been in this industry since I was born. I have a master's degree in sports administration. You do not wear a jersey signed.
Why not?
You just don't.
Why not?
It's just stupid.
You know what?
It's like a guy. It's not nearly as bad as wearing a jersey. Like there's some conflicted people here at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I just saw a guy walk in with a Chiefs hat and a Minnesota Vikings jersey.
Now that's conflicted.
First of all, why are you wearing an NFL jersey on the Monday of the Waste Management? Now, if you're going here on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, then you can wear your Chiefs, and then you can wear your
Eagles.
Your Eagles.
Yeah, where's
There's also another idiot walked in. I just saw him. He had a Notre Dame hat on, but with an Ohio State jersey.
How does that
How
work?
conflicted is that dude?
Jax, would you ever do that?
Dumbass.
Be Mr. Notre Dame fan? I mean,
no. See, Jax gets it.
Never.
I would.
You guys are just so out of touch.
I can't believe you even said you would wear a signed jersey.
See,
No, I wouldn't. But if my wife or someone to wear it, more power to you.
I'm not
Yeah.
in
See,
any
he's
of those
moonwalking.
categories.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I
I'm
would
not
never
in
wear
any.
my signed jersey or anybody's signed jersey.
As long
The
as
only jersey I'd wear, I'm sorry, Jake.
One guy at a time.
Yeah. Well, the only jersey I'd wear would be my own if it's an event with the Bills are playing. That's about it.
You wear your own jersey signed?
No. I wear my own jersey I have.
See,
It's not
you're-
signed.
Of all of us sitting right here,
Yeah.
you are the only guy that should be allowed to wear a jersey with his name on the back.
Well, yeah.
Because you actually played the
Well,
game.
and it is my name on the back, but the only time I wear it is when the Bills play. Whether we're doing Monday Night Football or an event or whatever, I wish the damn guy, they'd get there for the Super Bowl. I could wear it. I'd love to wear it with the
I watched
Eagles.
the
and
30 for 30 last night. There's nothing on.
Fort Falls and Buffalo.
Oh, man. I'll be
Crushing.
mad at it.
seen it 10 times. I'm sorry.
So to answer your
That's all right.
question, and we'll get to Jimmy, answer your question, I'm wearing my Nick Foles jersey
Okay.
with my Super Bowl Nick
okay,
Foles
cool.
ring.
Philly
Because
special.
we've won
Philly
2 straight.
special. Yeah.
So
Okay. Now this will sound funny.
I doubt it.
I do not have one signed item from anybody throughout my entire career.
I have more respect for you now than I have ever.
As a broadcaster,
I have
never do
people
that
like,
anyway.
like this kid right
3
here.
minutes.
He's with a media credential.
Yeah.
Getting his picture taken on the
never.
on the field
I never do
with
that.
these on-air personalities. That's a no-no.
I
You
never
learn
do.
that in sports.
Yes.
101.
Yeah,
You act like you've been there. You're a media member.
That's
You're there to
correct.
work, not take pictures and then put it on Facebook.
But what has happened, Rock and
Sorry,
Manuch?
Jax.
Well, no, and you guys can vouch for this. It has changed dramatically in the last 5 years, with now all the little online garbage sites that are there, and everybody wants to be a part of the team instead of covering the team. When I came into the business, you covered the team, and that's the way I always did it.
Now the media wants to be the story.
There you go.
Yes, I'd
Yes,
say
that is correct.
I mean, we're going to get into our sounds, and all we're going to hear from is media members and what their opinion is. We have one coach and
2
one
minutes.
general manager that's actually you're going to hear from, but all the rest are media members.
Well, there was a lot of comments by a lot of players throughout the weekend yesterday that were totally surprised. But you hear them with their sound bites, but it just seems as though, to your point, Rock, that the media barrage has taken over these quasi celebrities, don't want to call themselves that, seems to be the voice of the people. And then I think a lot of people feel like they're telling it like it is versus some of the players that want to skirt the issue.
You know, what's interesting is with this going down, this stunning trade, I think all of us that saw it Saturday night or some of you saw it Sunday morning are like, wow. I mean, I just thought, I mentioned last week, I thought there was going to be a big trade. I thought it was going to happen Wednesday of this week.
Right.
This happened early, which totally stepped on the arrival of the Chiefs and the Eagles in New Orleans.
It did.
Yeah.
It has totally been the narrative today on every single television
minute.
show. Even national shows like CNN and Fox are talking about
They
this
are.
trade.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke when it first came out. I thought
You thought you got hacked?
I
Shams?
thought Shams got hacked,
Yeah.
or somebody created a phony Shams Shamani account.
Because you never know.
You
You
don't
never
not
know.
anymore. Unbelievable.
Because there have been several of those over
Oh,
the years
hell yeah.
where so-and-so
I've been
got
fooled.
traded.
Yep.
And it's interesting to hear how the Mavericks spin it, how the Lakers spin it,
Yeah.
and Ref side's going to help each other. Now, Davis has been injured.
36.
He
Has he been cleared? Was he cleared before the trade?
He has not been cleared
Yeah,
yet.
because he didn't travel to New York.
No.
Right. So is this pending
Yeah.
the physical?
Well,
Or that's going to happen no matter
no,
what?
it's
All right.
done. Because remember, Doncic hasn't been playing either.
That's right.
Because he's out.
And the whole story about Doncic was overweight, pushing 250, and
Beer drinker, big beer
all
drinker.
the above, malcontent, all the. And then with Davis, it's like the Mavs
Here's
like,
the
hey,
11.
guy plays defense, he can rebound, so they need him. And then the other side of it is, okay, how is Doncic and LeBron going to coexist? Who gets the ball more? They're both quasi point guards, since there's really no positions in the NBA anymore per se.
Yeah,
So we're
not
going to
with
hear
those
next
guys.
from Charles Barkley, Tim Legler, Brian Windhorst, Shams, as well as Quentin Richardson, Durant, Booker, and if we have time, Jason Kidd and Harrison, the GM of the Mavs. That's all next as we get into our sounds from the weekend as we are just getting started at the DraftKings Sportsbook here at the TPC Scottsdale.
Now, it's time for the top sounds of the weekend, brought to you by the big game at Wekopa Casino Resort on Sunday, February 9th. Details at rockandmanuch.com. Now, let's get to the top plays and sounds of the weekend on ESPN 620.
By the way,
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Bonneville. Devin Harris will join me in a minute. I'm sorry if I look a little haggard today, like a lot of you. I didn't sleep very well last night. We're stunned. We're shocked. We're going through it. You all know what I'm talking about. The end of one era, the beginning of another. The news came down last night in reports, officially this morning at 10:05 Eastern, 9:05 Central Time. Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers.
All right, making mics up.
Steve Morris for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick in the future.
how awesome is that? The Dallas Mavs play-by-play announcer, I think his name is Mark Followwill, and opened the broadcast with the Luka trade. And, of course, you hear people throwing funerals, people boycotting Mavs games now. You wonder if Mark Cuban was still part of this organization to the level he was before, if this would have still went down.
Never.
That's a great question.
I don't think it ever happened.
And I'm with Manuch on that. I don't think he would have let that happen.
I think because they were kind of boys, you know.
Yeah, they were.
And Cuban had a personal relationship with a lot of these
How
guys.
are you going to make that work?
And I think that those
when
are
you
some
got
of the
both?
things you look at from that standpoint. That he looked after his guys. He made sure everything was okay. He helped them out any way he possibly could.
You know, I think the trade's awesome, and I think both teams win.
I would agree.
I mean, I think long-term, the Lakers
win. Yep.
Okay, short-term, it's the Mavs.
Dallas. Yep.
I saw some odds that came out, and I thought for sure that the odds would have really increased for the Mavs.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, the 24-25 NBA championship odds to win. By the way, we're Draftkings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. The Thunder is plus 225. The Celtics plus 240. Then it's the Cavs 7-1, Lakers 9-1, then Knicks 12, Denver 14, then the Mavs at 28-1. By the way, the Suns are at 45-1.
Oh, they suck. So here's the deal on that deal. You know why the Lakers are up that high? Because they're not done. Because they're going after a center. They might go after Mitchell Robinson, who plays for the New York Knicks, but he's injured a lot of times. They would love to get their hands on Walker Kessler for the Utah Jazz, but the Jazz asking price is huge, and so I'm not sure if that's going to happen.
How do you compare like Shaq going to the Lakers, Gasol going to the Lakers?
Yep.
It's right
They're
up there.
always making those moves.
Yes, they
to
are.
get to the championship.
They are, and the Lakers, what are they? Tinseltown, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
So they had Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. Later came Will Chamberlain.
Wilt.
Oh,
Okay. Then Kareem came and Magic. Then what Manuch referenced with Kobe and Shaq. But then they get LeBron and they win a title.
But should it be that way? It's the second biggest market in the country.
I'm with you.
They have the money to do it.
Well, it's not that so much. It's this that they have this image of star power. And the Lakers are star power in the NBA.
The only thing that surprised me with this one is you got Luka and LeBron. LeBron he's alpha for that team.
Yep.
And here comes Luka, another shooter. Are there enough basketballs to go between them? But I was going to ask you about, will they go get a big man? It sounds like they're in the market.
will.
We're going to hear from
market to
Charles
do that.
Barkley on that one in a minute here. But first, let's get into some of the sound. Here's Charles. He was on ESPN and Get Up and all the programs this morning. And here's what he had to say about how crazy to think that some people out there do think the Lakers are better than the Mavs today.
There's no way, if you know anything about basketball, you think the Lakers with a bunch of little 6'5", 6'7" guys running around out there compared to Anthony Davis, Lively, Gafford, Kyrie, Clay. If you think that Laker team right now is better than the Mavs, that's the stupidest. Listen, that's why they build those pretty buildings in the desert. People are stupid.
And they buy him.
They do. He is absolutely correct. Because once Anthony Davis gets there, Anthony Davis does not have to play the center position. You have Daniel Gafford, and Davis now can play the four.
And he wants to play the four.
Wants to play the four. That's why I said the Lakers are in the center business right now. They are trying to land somebody who can be that rim protector and rebounder.
Nurkic?
No.
All right, this is to Manuch's point. There's only one basketball. Here's Charles talking about the fact that he doesn't think that Luka and LeBron can play together.
The Lakers, that's going to be fascinating because I don't think Luka and LeBron can play together. That's my personal opinion. because neither one of them can play without the ball. That's going to be very fascinating. So we're looking at them down the line. I think they brought LeBron in to be a mentor for Luka. LeBron's body is incredible. He's one of the greatest players ever, but from condition, I think they're hoping that rubs off on Luka. But I don't think they're going to have great success together.
I want to ask you, Jimmy, I guess I've been blind. I don't remember hearing a lot of narrative on his conditioning.
Okay.
Has that been a big story, or it's been kind of just because one reporter brought it up about a week ago, but I don't remember like, hey, it's the lead on NBA Insider that, hey, Luka's fat, and he's out of shape.
It has been a topic of conversation on national networks in the past.
Recently or in the past?
I would say just within the past year and a half.
Oh, it's been that long?
Yes.
I'd never heard that.
I haven't either.
Yes, and he
caught me off guard.
He came in out of shape, played himself into shape throughout the course of the season. But the narrative is that because he's out of shape a lot of times coming into camp is that's why he gets injured, was because he is not in shape to play that schedule.
All right, let's get to ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler. Here he is talking about the Lakers have solved their post-LeBron issue with this trade.
This isn't even really about this year, next year, however long LeBron plays. I really don't believe that. This is answering a problem the Lakers were trying to figure out, which is what's the next iteration of the Los Angeles Lakers? And you just got the face of your franchise for the next decade if you want to keep him there. And that's really what this is about. Where do we go after LeBron James? So I agree with Wendy. I don't think their odds improve. This is going to be a very difficult fit for LeBron with the most ball-dominant player in the
5 minutes
to join that franchise. They've got a lot to figure out, but it's about going forward. That's really what the Lakers solved with this.
Yeah, the one thing they talked about a lot is that how the NBA is a positionless league now. You got two guys that can play the point,
right?
Luka and LeBron. My own contention is, when will LeBron get tired of his act by not playing defense? At least Davis would play defense down low.
Played great defense.
They had a good combination of their defense in reference to that. Or how long is it going to take for LeBron to get tired of his act? Or is he show him grace for the next 3 months and hopefully get to the playoffs? And who gets the last shot?
Well,
there's all that minutia surrounding Luka going to the Lakers.
I think if they can figure it out, man, they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah,
when you got two guys like that can take a game over, like both of them.
They can.
Especially Luka's numbers is right behind Michael Jordan when it comes to averaging 30 points in playoffs.
That's correct.
Hey, let's get into Legler, and he may be right on this, as he says that this could be the worst trade in NBA history.
I firmly believe when it's all said and done, we will be talking about this trade 30 years from now as arguably the worst trade in the history of this league. The reason I say that, I understand those concerns, and there's some truth to it. And there's times I've, analyzed Luka Doncic, and I've talked about it, and particularly his defensive commitment and not laying it on the line on that end of the floor and everything else. The bottom line is this. He is a once-in-a-lifetime
3.5 minutes
offensive talent, maybe the most unstoppable offensive force individually in this league right now. He's 25 years old. He's already been to an NBA Finals. He hasn't even entered the prime years of his career, which are really like 27 to 32.
Which is why the Lakers made the deal, hoping that LeBron will rub off on Luka, get him into shape, show him what it is to be a professional, and then he will carry the torch for the Los Angeles Lakers. That is their goal.
The Laker way of life
is
what I show you what I do.
That is correct.
That's why I have so much success year in and year out.
Yep.
Connor, let's jump down. I want to get some former player and current player reaction. Let's Q Richardson, if you remember, he had a cup of coffee with the Phoenix Suns. Here he is, because there was talk that LeBron didn't know about this. Luka didn't know about this. It's very hard to believe that LeBron James was not in on this. Here he is, his thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Listen. When it first happened, I was kind of unsure because it was right after the game and everything. But after you hear the AD, wave to his trade kicker, that's not a move that happens with people not being in the know. Like, AD knew what was going on before, and the fact that AD knew and he has Rich Paul as representation, there's no way that LeBron did not know.
Comes down to the agents, right?
Yeah,
always does.
I mean, to hear that it was totally under the on the down low, I'm like you. I have a hard time believing LeBron didn't have an inkling. I mean, for them to keep this, he's kind of the quasi general manager, is he not?
You have to remember that the Lakers were in New York. LeBron had a huge triple-double against the Knicks. Anthony Davis wasn't even on the trip. Everybody thought the Knicks were going to blow him off the court. LeBron plays LeBron, and they end up winning the game. He's out to dinner with his family, and the news hits.
So we saw a lot of reaction on television with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker being interviewed when they heard about the news. Yeah, you wonder, and I'm not throwing Matt Ishbia under the bus here, but yeah, I am, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe he got caught, with his pants down on this because all the talk was Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and then you see Fox is getting moved in Sacramento. And I mean, the two major moves yesterday over this weekend have improved every one of those teams.
Yes.
And the Suns are just sitting there. Now, is this going to pressure Matt Ishbia to make a move that maybe is not the best move for the future of this team?
I hope not.
Well, now that Jimmy Butler does not want an extension from Golden State, changes the whole dynamic to where now people are saying, the reports are saying, Suns are all in, Miami's all in to try to make this thing work because he didn't want to do the extension and stay in Golden State.
I don't think the Suns should give him an extension.
No,
the guy doesn't work. I think you just got to forget about him. And now, if it's true, now the rumors flying that Kevin Durant's on the possible trade block.
That is correct.
That could definitely now change a lot of things. And then when does the Devin Booker step up and say, well, maybe, I know he's somewhat, a couple dozen points away from being the all-time Phoenix Suns scorer. When does he come to situations or come to the office,
all clear to toss,
knocks on the door and says, Matt, I'd be willing to move.
Where are we at? Where are we going? If things pop up, you can send me somewhere that's going to be a competitive team year in, year out. That might be it. But it sounds like indications are the Suns are still trying to make this Jimmy Butler thing work.
I'm against that. I'm on record now because of Butler's attitude and the way that he has tried to pull this off. Yep. I don't want any part of that. I respect his basketball game, but not what has happened in him trying to force his way out of Miami.
They've already mortgaged the future.
They have.
Okay? They've been able to get lucky, and Utah made that move. Yep. I don't know why they did. I can't. Oh, man, I know we all want the Suns to kick some ass, and I think we all had huge expectations going into this season, but I'm sorry, if they get Butler, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to support that. It just is. All right, we're going to switch gears, getting into some NFL. Rudy Carpenter, who always joins us on Monday, will get his prediction for the Super Bowl. But first, here's Jax with a local sports update here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
It's now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's bottom of the hour ESPN 620 Sports Update, sponsored by the big game at Weekapaw Casino Resort this Sunday. I'm Jackson Groff. The 2025 WM Phoenix Open has added 5 golfers ranked in the top 50 according to the World Golf Rankings, including Sepp Straka, Tom Kim, and Cameron Young to its tournament field. Brian Harmon and Matt Fitzpatrick are also joining the field. The tournament announced yesterday. The field now includes 15 of the world's top 30 golfers and the winners of the 8 of the last 9 tournaments, 25. Including Nick Taylor, Scotty Scheffler, Webb Simpson, Ricky Fowler, Gary Woodland, and Hideki Matsuyama. The tournament will start Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Lock in your plans to join us for the big game at Weekapaw Casino Resort this Sunday. Win cash with our $25 Squares games, $100 prop bets, and the kickoff challenge that earns you $1 every yard for every kickoff. We'll see you there, Weekapaw Casino Resort.
Looking for the perfect destination before and after the WM Open? Welcome to Putting World, the ultimate 18-hole indoor putting course designed to delight golf enthusiasts of all levels. Putting World is your home all week during the WM Open. Free shuttle daily, live music, food and drink specials, and so much more. Putting World promises an unforgettable experience. Visit them at the Scottsdale Promenade, or to learn more, go to puttingworld.com. That's puttingworld.com. Tune in or stop by DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale during the week of the WM Open. ESPN's 620 Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B will broadcast live Monday and Tuesday from 1 to 4 from DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale. Feel the energy as you follow the action on 2,700 square feet of video screens. Take advantage of the beautiful outdoor patio, VIP cabanas, and fire pit. Experience DraftKings Sportsbook on a whole new level at TPC Scottsdale. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B at DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else?
Manuch, you're good to let Rudy know to call.
Clutch, every day from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is always adding exciting cocktails to the menu. Like
That's all we're ready for.
Balanced Sincoro.
Yep, I'm just waiting for it.
Try it at your local lodge today.
Craving tacos? There's one spot in town that everyone can't stop talking about. The Taco Spot. With mouth-watering, authentic Mexican flavors and a modern twist. It's no wonder they're the local favorite.
The Taco Spot has the best tacos I've ever had.
With locations opening all over Arizona, satisfying your cravings has never been easier. Come and experience the tacos to talk about. Enjoy handmade tortillas and
About a minute left in this break. Do you want me to try to call him?
I just sent him a note to call us.
Where every bite is a fiesta.
Mark your calendars for Sunday, February 9th, because the only place you'll want to be is at Wecopa Casino Resort. This year, we're not just watching the big game. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B are giving away cash. Yes, you heard it right. Get ready to win big.
40 seconds left in the break. Still no call.
Watching the game. Here's how you can score cash. $25 squares game every quarter. $100 prop bets and a kickoff challenge. Earn $1 for every yard on every kick.
All right, coming back in 30 here. No Rudy. Do you guys want me to just go basic opener?
With every touchdown
yeah,
score,
let's go to that highlight.
Open at 2 and it's first come, first serve. No purchase necessary. Just make sure you're 21 or older.
Whatever. I mean, I think they balance, everything balances out. I mean, you got a human element there with the official. These guys.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and make your guys' mics hot now. Andy Reid is talking.
One way or the other, and coaches take a lot of heat one way or the other. So I don't pay much attention to it.
Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, ESPN 620, 98.7 HD2, and streaming at Arizona Sports out here at the Draftkings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. Hoping to catch up with Rudy Carpenter, the former Cowboy and Arizona State quarterback, get his prediction for the Super Bowl as he will join us. We'll have a bunch of guys throughout the day here as we're coming to you live from DraftKings inside the beautiful, beautiful venue here right at the opening of the WM Open, which is underway. It's all started. It all got underway here in the last 6 hours or so this morning, and the greatest show on grass.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe everybody with the referee conspiracy theories with the Chiefs and what have you. And as Andy Reid said, a lot of that stuff all works itself out. Yes, there's been some bad calls. There's been a couple things. But, you can look at other calls against the Chiefs over the years, this year, what have you. And I'm like, you know what? That's why I'm in favor of the replay. And if you're going to do it, especially these kind of games, the playoffs, let's get it right. And you got those challenges, but I think it's much to do about nothing.
I am not in favor of penalties and replays. I think it'll slow the game down even more than the way that it is already slowed down. I don't want to see that. I like the coach's challenge on a particular play, if his foot is in or if it's out, something like that, or the spot of the ball. But to have a situation where referees are being challenged if it's a flag or not. Manuch, you'll remember this one. And it was in New Orleans for the Saints game. And it was several years ago now. And the Saints would have won the game. It was a pass interference call.
Horrible.
And they didn't call
horrible
it.
Miss.
Yes, horrible miss. Yep.
Couldn't challenge it.
Yeah, couldn't challenge. That's it.
Couldn't challenge pass interference. Now, interesting, Brandon, because the next year, you were able to challenge pass interference calls.
Yes.
Now they took that away because
again, yep.
Nobody knew what the hell a PI was or not.
Yes.
Now that's gone, and now it's at the discretion of the officials.
Yep.
And now they might confer with another official. Was it catchable ball? did he have his hands all over him? Now, I will say this. Watching the playoffs, I thought the defensive backs and receivers were very handsy during the non-PI calls. And some of them, even there have been guys that grabbed the arm of some of the receivers. You're going, that's a PI, but no call. So I think to a point, it's like anything. I think it's like in baseball. Whoever the umpire is behind the plate, you got to adjust to his zone.
His zone, yeah.
Yeah, the zone's never going to be perfect in baseball. So if you're a pitcher, you're a hitter, understand he likes to call the low and outside or the high and inside. That's his zone. Okay, adjust to it as long as they're consistent. And I think in NFL officials, all right, I get you're going to be ticky-tacky, especially like some of the NBA calls are very ticky-tacky with some of their calls. If that's how you're going to call it, then call it for everybody that same way. I think where people or fans get upset is when it's pretty much like, all right, guys, you call it on him, but you're not calling us. Where's the fairness and where's the consistency in this?
Rudy Carpenter joins us down the right to the guest line here on ESPN 620. Rudy, before we get your prediction in the Super Bowl, what is your thoughts on the NFL owners hoping to get the season to 18 games? Would you be in favor of 18-game season? It sounds like it may happen over the next 2 years.
I'm in favor of it, yeah, for sure. I'm always happy to watch more football. Like literally, it's like I feel like after the NFC and AFC championship weekend, I feel like that's like one of the best weekends in all of football. And as soon as the second game is over, I feel like a massive amount of depression that we're going to have to go a long period of time with not very much on TV. I understand March Madness and baseball or whatever, but for me, it's really about football. So, yeah, to get 2 more games, I love it. I don't know how much the players love it. And I know for sure if I was these players, I would be banging my head against the wall saying, if we got to play 2 more games, our salaries got to go up by X percentage, not have the same salaries that now get stretched out over 2 more weeks.
Will there be that addendum to the revenue sharing is what you're hinting at right there, Rudy?
There has to
yes.
be. I don't know. I mean, look, who knows? I mean, one thing that the NFL owners know is that NFL players are never, ever, ever well enough positioned to really have a long holdout. Any long holdout means guys aren't getting paid. And the vast majority of these players are blowing through money, and they don't have the ability to really, really hurt the owners by, sitting out 10 games, 11 games, by really, really, doing it. So, and that's the only way you're going to get the owner's attention. You're not going to get the owner's attention by having a lockout like we did in 2011 and, everybody just sits out the entire off season. There's no loss for the owners. There's no real huge loss, even if the lockout goes into training camp and goes into the preseason. It really starts to sting them when you get into week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, and there's no games being played. There's no parking. There's no butts in the seats. There's no concessions, nothing on TV. That's when it really starts to hurt the owners. And if the players are really going to do that, they're going to have to save their money, and they don't do that.
Rudy, and speaking of owners, how difficult is it for a Clark Hunt or Jeffrey Lurie to keep these teams together and be year in and year out or every other year vying for Super Bowls? Is it they're just more creative, or they're better as far as drafting, free agency? Why do the rich continue to get richer and the poor are poor? What do you see with some of these teams like that?
Oh man, well, I think it's a lot of things. You can use the Kansas City Chiefs and say, man, the rich get richer, but don't forget, I mean, that's a team that almost at the peak, even though I guess it's not the peak now because they're about to possibly three-peat. Yeah. But I mean, they had Tyreek Hill and let him go. They let him walk out the door for a bunch more money with the Miami Dolphins. And it's funny, when Tyreek was with the Chiefs, he was complaining about getting paid. Now that he's with the Dolphins, he's complaining about not winning games. And it's like, look, man, like you had your opportunity. Look, of course, some of it is about money. Of course, it's a lot of, it's that. But you also got to look at these teams and just know that, look, the teams that are really, really good in the NFL are the teams that have a great owner, are the teams that have great management, are the teams that have a great head coach, and they're all in alignment. The teams that don't have that, those teams are the same teams every 3 or 4 years that are firing their GM, firing their head coach, and then trying to figure it out from there.
2 minutes.
The teams that are really, really good are the teams that have great ownership. You look at the Dallas Cowboys, say whatever you want to say about them. Yeah, they're not winning. You can say whatever you want about Jerry Jones and their talent evaluation, but just purely on the business side, he's grown that team to an unbelievable place in the amount of revenue, that it's bringing in. But they've done a terrible job in the draft, whereas you look at a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, and they've just done an incredible job in the NFL draft of getting the right type of players to their team that fit from a skill standpoint, from a culture standpoint. And then they do a great job of, when that's all said and done, going into free agency, not spending Baduku dollars on random free agents, trying to keep their guys in-house, and then going out there to get role players. You bring Kareem Hunt back, a guy for a good dollar amount. You bring a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster in, a guy that's been a good pro, and you bring him in for a relatively good dollar amount. And these are guys that can fit in, plug and play, and do a great job.
Rudy, finally on this one, Myles Garrett, Cleveland, everything that you just talked about, the organization down just stinks. He wants out. The Cardinals have plenty of money to chase him. Do you see Bidwell doing that or not?
Man, Michael Bidwell for me is such a hard guy to understand. It's like he's kind of like a roller coaster that goes up and down. It's like at one time you think that, wow, he's ready to spend money and he's ready to go win and put a competitive team out there. And then all of a sudden it's like you're reading articles about the Arizona Cardinals having to pay for their own meals and literally having one of the worst organizations in the league when it comes to, the amenities and things of that nature, right? So it's like, I don't know. I truly don't know what Michael Bidwell wants to do when it comes to this football team. I look at a guy like Myles Garrett, and I think Myles Garrett's gotten to the point where he feels like, okay, I've made tons and tons and tons of money. I'm one of the best players in the league year in and year out. I've got all the individual accolades, and I'm going to Pro Bowls, and I'm all pro, and I'm all this, and I'm all that. And I think he's probably
clear to rep whenever
his career now, where he's like, hey, the most important thing to me is winning. I need to win. I want to win. I have to win before I'm done in this league. Before I retire and move on, I got to be able to leave this league, being a part of some playoff football teams and being on a good team. I imagine that's where he's at. Whether or not, he feels as if the Arizona Cardinals are going to be that for him, I don't really know. But again, I also know he's asked for a trade. And sometimes in a trade, you can't always, dictate where you want to go. Now, if he were to come to the Arizona Cardinals, does that make that team better? Yeah. Does that make that defensive line and that defense as a whole better? Of course. Is Myles Garrett a guy that can ruin a game by himself? Absolutely. Is there still a lot of missing pieces? Yeah, I think so. But you guys have heard me come on this show a ton and say, when I look at the roster for the Arizona Cardinals, I just don't see the same type of talent and the same type of skill level that you see with a roster like the Eagles or the Kansas City Chiefs per se. So when you bring in a guy like Myles Garrett, that definitely ups the score for, quote unquote talent for sure.
Rudy, we're up against it, but we got to get you on record what the score is going to be in the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Man, I'm like so terrible at this, but
no, you're not. You were like, I think a couple years ago, you were right on. I think you missed by a point.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the Philadelphia Eagles 24 and the Kansas City Chiefs 28.
You said
wait. Say that again. You said 28 or 24-28. You meant
24-28 refs Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs winning.
Going Chiefs. I thought I was all excited. He was going with the Eagles. So, all right. All right, Rudy. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you next week after the Eagles win.
All right, guys. See you.
All right, see you. That's Rudy Carpenter joining us. Brought to you today by All City Towing. Join the team at the largest towing company in the state. That's All City Towing. They are hiring. They have all kinds of positions open. Great benefits. If you want to find out, go to the website, allcitytowing.com. That's All City Towing, where your future is on the move. Well, coming up, another Super Bowl where a president is going to do a sit-down. That was announced today. And spring football games, are they going away? Well, one school is leading the charge. We'll tell you that next. You listen to Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B now on ESPN 620 and on FM at 98.7 HD2.
Guys, Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Hashtag sexy roof status. At State 48 Roofing, we are family owned and operated, born and raised in Arizona. We'd love to give back to our schools and community.
Come back at 15 here.
48roofing.com. Right. What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Hashtag sexy roof status. All of our work using state-of-the-art materials and 5-star workmanship. Our inspections are free. You heard me? Free. Go to state48roofing.com to schedule your free appointment today.
Now back to Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B live from Draftkings at TPC Scottsdale, the area's best kept secret for sports entertainment. Draftkings at TPC Scottsdale.
Gibbs on the pitch it.
Score. He's going to go. Oh, people are coming up the sideline. What is going on?
This is mayhem.
This feels like
we live in a society.
We're Stanford Steve at.
Going Gonna go ahead and make Mike's hot here.
The band is on the field.
So the NFC completed a three-peat in the Pro Bowl as they topped the AFC 76-63 after the completion of all the events, including the 56-50 win in the flag football game. $92,000 in prize money was awarded to each member of the winning conference. The losing conference got $46,000. So
92 grand a piece.
Did you see the crowd in the stadium? I mean, it wasn't sold out, but there was a big crowd there.
Yeah, not much else to do there.
Just the higher upper deck was the only open seats.
Hey, we're out here at Draftkings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. Between Wednesday and Sunday, customers who bet $250 here at the Draftkings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale will receive a food and beverage gift card to be used after the tournament week. So you might want to check that out, as we'll be here until 4 o'clock today, and then we'll be back here from 1 to 4 tomorrow. It's a tradition like no other where presidents get interviewed during the Super Bowl pregame show by journalists from the game's host network. Of course, this is Fox. So Brett Baer will sit down with President Trump in a pre-taped interview that will air in the pregame show. If you remember a few years ago in 2018, he said no to NBC, but no surprise, President Biden skipped the last 2 years since he didn't do well in interviews. Not much of a sit-down guy.
That was interesting why he skipped, because he typically is not that guy. Maybe just because some mental irregularities might have been there, and the game and all the above. That's
too late, it's his nap. Kendrick Lamar, who's that? Well, he went 5 for 5 at the Grammys last night. He is the guy that's doing the Super Bowl halftime show. He won Song of the Year, Record of the Year, Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance, and Best Music Video. How about that? All right, spring football. We all like spring football because that means we get close to the summer into the fall, which means it all happens. Well, looks as though Matt Rule of Nebraska is going to skip doing the team's spring game. You didn't hear this? He's skipping for great reason.
Yes.
Transfer portal.
Because he had so many people hit on his players last year after the spring game to get them to transfer. That is one of his main concerns. I can see that.
Well, he only had 6.
Yeah, but I can see that.
Everybody's like that.
No, I'm just telling you right now.
But
spring games have turned into just practices.
Yeah,
but
who cares?
Games anymore.
Who cares? But it's a revenue producer.
It is.
Nebraska did over 60,000 people last year.
So they always
it's a revenue producer.
They just get on average more, and their spring
it's on the Big Ten Network.
It's ginormous. I mean, for this to be, hey Matt, you sure you really want to do that? Because you don't want to upset any of your donors who look to that spring game to just show up and be part of all that. I mean, spring games are for a lot of guys. Remember, guys, years ago, it used to be the alumni versus the current players.
Used to be.
Now it's the players. You get a chance to have a quasi-scrimmage, if you will, to see who you have, you don't have. Everybody's going to be trying to poach your guys by watching them.
Last year, that Big Ten telecast with Nebraska was one of the highest-rated spring games ever.
It was.
And it's a great opportunity for, the players.
Exposure.
Great opportunity for the alum.
Yes.
I think he's missing a boat here, but I do understand why he's doing it.
I understand.
You got to protect your team.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he only lost 6 last year after it, but still, this is a whole new world now, man.
Yeah, it is. But I just still think you still got to have your players develop. I think it's part of the tradition. So if these traditions are going to go away,
they're gone.
Nebraska is like the premier spring game for anybody to have. Now, Bama has big crowds.
I never watched Nebraska.
I mean, I'm talking about the fans going there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fans. Well, that's the only thing they have in the state.
But
that's
Bama gets big crowds.
Same deal.
LSU has big crowds.
Yeah.
Everybody has big crowds.
Not everybody.
But a lot of the big time, Ohio State has big crowds their spring game. That's part of their, all right, let's see what's new. And the coaches love it to put their guys out there in game-like situations or close to have them start to get acclimated to what they're going to do, especially the transfers that come in from other teams.
North Carolina football coach Bill Belichick, still hard to say that.
It is.
Announced on Friday, you may have seen it, that he wrote a book I don't know when he had time to write a book. So Belichick has written a book called The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football. It'll go on sale May 6th. It's my mom's birthday. May 6th. It's a collection of stories, philosophies, principles from the past half century of his career, plus lessons from his father who coached at the U.S. Naval
I'd
Academy.
be interested to read that, see what his finer points are, why
Maybe
he's so
my one
successful.
book. Maybe my
Your
one book.
that you
My
choose
New Year's
to read?
resolution was to read a one book.
And also over the weekend, Chip Kelly decided to go to the Las Vegas Raiders to be the offensive coordinator.
We talked about that last week.
we
We
did.
said he would be gone.
Does he have bigger fish to fry? And we said, you know what? If he's accomplished everything at college and doesn't want to be a college head coach, then his next step would be the National Football League. Since he's fine-tuned his offense and he's kind of slowed it down, used more of the running game, but he had a lot of guys around. He had a hell of a quarterback. He had dudes around
Everywhere.
him. So now it's a matter of, okay, here comes Chip. What kind of quarterback are you going to go look to draft? So I think they'll be looking to draft a first round or somebody higher in the first round.
A reminder, make plans. Join us on Sunday at Weekapaw Casino and Resort. It's our big game party. We've been doing it for over 25 years. This is our new venue this year. We're really excited to be there at Weekapaw. If you haven't seen the casino, it is remarkable. Did you get out there this weekend? Where are you going to do a test drive?
I'm going to do a test drive Wednesday when we're done with the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's free. Doors open at 2. You can get more information by going to rockandmanuch.com or biggamewatchparty.com. So check that out. It's a treat for me next, the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles for the last 48 years. Merrill Reese will join us next and talk about this Eagles and distractions and everything else as they landed in New Orleans yesterday. Not that anybody would know with the NBA trades. Up with that's it. That's the only guest you got, Manuch? Oh, Fooey.
Fooey, too. Hot factor Fooey.
Slack. How you not get an NBA guest for us today?
Trying. They're all busy.
What do you mean they're
chasing
busy?
stories. Yeah.
7 seconds.
Jimmy, you got a huge Rolodex, don't you?
I could have called somebody.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Jimmy, with somebody? Seriously?
All right, here we go. Hi, it's Tim Lovick, and you're invited to my
DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale, the area's best kept secret for sports entertainment. DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale.
Every writer is going to hang on every word you say to get a headline to talk about. Every writer is trying to, or every media.
Making Mike's hot. Merrill's on the line.
Talk about the game, talk about this and that. And there's only a distraction, only take away what's important, and that's the game.
That's A.J. Brown, who's asked about distractions that come with being one of the final two teams left standing as the Super Bowl is underway here on Sunday. And joining us now is the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese. Merrill, how are you today, buddy? Thanks for the time.
I am well, thank you. Very well.
When are you going to when are you going to get down to New Orleans?
I'm still waiting to hear. Either Thursday or Friday.
Okay. And you've been down. You've been to a lot of Super Bowls, and when it comes to distractions, how do you avoid them? I mean, how does a coach tell his team to avoid them? Because it's got to be tough, especially.
Well, pretty much. He has practices. He holds practices as he does all the time, and then they have the appointed press conferences that they have every day, and you find players at different tables, and he has to tell them just to be pretty basic. Don't give away any secrets, any keys to the safe, But it's pretty bland. You're never going to get anything out of any of these press conferences with either the coaches or the players. When you've been to one, you've been to them all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is Kelvin Moore a distraction at all with all the talk of New Orleans?
What kind of talk?
Kelvin Moore, would he be a distraction with the talk of him possibly leaving?
No. Kellen Moore is one of the most professional people you'd ever want to meet. It appears to everybody that he's going to be the next head coach of the Saints. I mean, that's been written, that the other candidates were basically told that they are pursuing Kellen Moore. I would be almost surprised at this point if he doesn't take it. But knowing Kellen Moore, the only thing he's thinking about right now is getting this team ready for Sunday. That's all that's how he is. He's very, very professional.
How does he tweak his offense for this game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Merrill? We had a terrific game in the desert a couple of years ago. Was a 3-point win by the Chiefs. Do they go back and look at that, or because it was now a couple of years ago, it's not, I guess, current, and so they wouldn't even take a peek at that?
I think they take a peek at everything. I think they go back at the Monday night game they played against Kansas City last year. I think they look at everything, but they do it with the idea of seeing what they can get out of it, maybe some individual evaluations. I mean, they'll take a look at Kansas City all season, but at the same time, they're not going to go overboard with that stuff. They know that this is a different team. I mean, this football team, guys, has 8 guys on the defense who didn't play in that last Super Bowl. 8 in a short period of time, in 2 years. So it's different. Jalen Hurts is just as hardworking, just as diligent, but he's got another couple of years of experience under his belt. The team last year did not have players like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, who have been outstanding. They didn't have Zach Vaughn, who should be the defensive player of the year. They didn't have somebody by the name of Saquon Barkley. So it's a different team, and there are changes in Kansas City too.
Merrill, it's interesting you bring up about the different changes. You think of you going way back for many years, the Dick Vermeil Super Bowl, the Andy Reid Super Bowl, the Doug Peterson Super Bowl, now the Sirianni Super Bowl twice with him. You think of those 4 coaches taking the Eagles to the Super Bowls. Was there a commonality amongst those 4, or are they completely different coaches as they lead their teams to Super Bowl challenges?
You forgot to mention that I was there for the Bronco Nagurski Super Bowl.
I didn't want to age you too much.
Was that Franklin Field there, Merrill? Franklin Field?
It was before Franklin Field.
Merrill,
let me tell you this. You're talking about the guys who took the
yes.
I'm getting a call on the other side, but that's just ignore the ring. It will stop. It's spam, I'm sure. But you look at Dick Vermeil, who took them to their first Super Bowl, and Dick was tremendous. He was very, very intense on top of everything. Then the next person to take them to a Super Bowl was Andy. And then there was all that to do going on. Would T.O. be able to play? And how big a difference would that make? And is Donovan ready? And then the third person to take them to a Super Bowl was Doug. And Doug did it kind of casually. Doug didn't make a big deal out of it. He wasn't giving any great big pep talks. All he did was put in something called the Philly Special, which I didn't even know anything about. And the funny story about that, I don't know if I've ever told this to you guys. We're doing the game, and the Eagles are in a 4th and 1 from the 1 with a second to go in the first half. And the Eagles are going to be kicking off to the Patriots to start the second half. And I made the remark that I don't understand this. You've got to take the 3 points and have momentum going into the half. If you do something foolish here and get stacked up, the momentum goes the other way. And, of course, the Patriots get the ball to start the second half. And so they pull off this crazy thing that we will remember for the rest of our lives, with the pass going into the end zone to Nick Foles. And Mike Quick said to me, well, that's why you're up here and Doug is down there. and then in the locker room with the celebration going on, Doug came over and gave me a hug. And I said, that is the worst call I've ever seen with the best result.
Hey, Nick Sirianni, week 6, the shouting at the fans, and I'm a big Nick Sirianni fan. He's been criticized. The Philly crowd is so passionate and very, at times, overcritical. But, I know they're going to win this
4
game.
minutes.
Will that just put him in place? Will he be up there?
By the way, you're knowing they're going to win this game. I can't say what that does to me. Not even worry about it. I will sleep better tonight because they're going to win this game.
Well, come on, man. I'm a fan too. Born in Philly, I been listening to you since you started. So I got to be. It brings out the fan in me. But let's just say, for Nick, will a win put him at the same level as a Dick Vermeil?
Well, you're talking about a coach who coached 4 years and has gotten his team to all four years they've been in the playoffs, and his second Super Bowl in that 4-year period, second Super Bowl in 3 years. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And but Dick Vermeil has been living in this area, has been a personality in this area for a long, long time. And Dick Vermeil did win a Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams once upon a time. So Dick is so popular here, and I think maybe Nick will be one day too. I mean, his popularity has grown a lot. They're talking about the yelling at the fans. He was really, I think that was after the Cleveland game. He was just having some fun, and that he was not cursing at the fans or any of that stuff. I think a couple of years ago he was incensed at a game in Indianapolis where he went at it with the fans. But with this group, he has more fun. But I think that since he got so much heat after that little episode, he has never done it again. And I don't think he ever will. I think he learned from it, and he said, okay, I'm emotional, but I've got to put a little bit of a cap on it. So he doesn't do that anymore. And I think he's grown as a coach.
About 2 minutes.
He is not as throw caution to the wind as he was for a while. I think there are every now and then he will. I mean, there was a play in the Washington game last week where they had early in the third quarter, where the Commanders were still very much in it, and the Eagles had a 4th and 5 from the Commanders' 48-yard line. And I said, I really think in this situation, there's a lot to lose. They ought to punt, and they didn't. And not only did they not throw a short, high
minute and a half,
Jalen Hurts went downfield 30 yards, but threw the most magnificent pass into the hands of A.J. Brown. So he will still do things like that. But I don't think he would do what he did early in the season, which was on the first drive against Atlanta. They had a 4th and goal from the 6. And that's the first drive of the game. I think if that were to come up again, he'd take the field goal.
Hey, Mary, my last question for you. When you think of how things ended last year, as bad as they did, and obviously getting Saquon Barkley help, but was there somewhat of a mantra chip on their shoulder, boulder on their shoulder to get back to where they were 2 years ago?
I don't think so. I honestly think what they did was they assembled this year, and they came up with 2 new coordinators. So you had Vic Fangio in there, and believe me, he has made a big difference.
Sure.
And Kellen Moore has done an excellent job with this team. Although I'm not blaming Brian Johnson last year because Nick was pretty much running the offense, and he said last year at the end of the season, when all was said and done, that I think that we've got to move on because the offense had grown stale. So I don't think they were worrying about what went wrong in 2022. Instead, they were or 2023. I think they were thinking about what do we have to do to be the best we can possibly be, and take it from there. But the one thing they did, and they continue to do, is have the most unphysical training camp. There's no tackling to the ground. The sessions are an hour and a half in and out. Now, they're well orchestrated, and they're very, very meticulous about everything, but they're short, and they're not physical. And there are no regulars playing any of the preseason games. So what happens is you go into those first 4 games in September, and that's really an extension of the preseason. But after the bye, they caught fire. Now, keep this in mind. Is that the right way? I honestly was a critic of that. Not so much publicly, but I talk to guys, and I say, I can't believe this team is going to be prepared for the season. But when you look at Detroit, and everybody loves Dan Campbell, you look at that team, when they played
Clear to wrap whenever.
in that playoff game, they had 18 players on injured reserve. The Eagles are almost at full strength. The Eagles had very few injuries this season. So maybe in this NFL, the answer is don't beat them up early.
He's Merrill Reese, the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Merrill, thank you. We know you get so many calls, especially Super Bowl week. Thanks for making some time for us out here in Phoenix. We always appreciate you, man.
Always for you guys. You know that.
Thank you, Merrill. That's Merrill Reese, the play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, my favorite, and I'm so glad he took some time for us today. Coming up, our G2G Protein Bar game changers from the weekend. We also got Craig Fouey coming up. But when we get to our G2G, we're going to talk about what happened on Saturday with Arizona and Arizona State and what Bobby Hurley did with his team. He's getting a lot of criticism for it. We'll talk about that next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy
Of the weekend. Did your favorite player make an incredible play or your team had a big upset? They probably know all about G2G protein bars, a refrigerated protein.
Making Mike's hot now.
Grab and go goodness. G2G protein bars are now available at Costco.
I had my G2G bar today. Good stuff. Again, at Costco in the refrigerator section. Well, on Saturday, Arizona State and Arizona played, and of course that game was here in Tempe in the Phoenix area. Game turned wild. You got a headbutt. You had multiple ejections. But where it got pretty interesting, just over 30 seconds remaining in the second half, you had Caleb Love and B.J. Freeman. Caleb, of course, is with Arizona, and Sun Devil B.J. Freeman were both ejected after Freeman headbutted Caleb, and words were exchanged between the both of them, and they both got ejected. Well, the game ends. Wildcats win 81-72, and Bobby Hurley told his players to leave the court and skipped the post-game handshake line, which has been a topic on this show for a long time on either getting rid of it or keeping it or not keeping it or what have you. But here is Bobby Hurley after the game and talking about this and talking about the fact that Arizona has no class.
Words that were said back and forth led, to the moment where Freeman, lost it and lost his cool because of the constant talk that was allowed to go on. So, I had to make a tough decision to obviously, in the best interest of our team, to get them into the locker room so there'd be no further incidents the rest of the game. If you were right near our bench, it was relentless, constant chatter, from a couple of the Arizona players that was not being policed properly. And of course they're going to be happy with winning, but it was done with no class, in my opinion.
Bobby Hurley after the game. I watched it in real time, and I was shocked. I was like, Bobby, what are you doing? He's taking his players off. I could see both sides to it. However, he talked about how loud it was on the bench. And I'm like, you have a home court. The fact that it got to that point where you're not getting the crowd going to maybe kind of mute that. I know when he got upset earlier and he got teed and he took his tie off and all that, and the place went nuts. There were a lot of Arizona fans there. But still, I just really struggle with this. And, I'm giving my G2G to Arizona to go into Tempe and to do what you did. It's embarrassing that Arizona State had to pull his players.
Yeah, when Caleb Love got headbutted by Freeman, I was surprised they both got ejected, number one.
Caleb should have been.
And exactly. So they had to hold him back from going absolutely nuts on the official. And I wouldn't blame him because it's like, wait a second. He got headbutted. There might be some chatter going on back and forth. I get that. That's a rivalry. And I know that what Bobby's looking at is, okay, he's filling out the room. He's filling the temperature of the room. But I was the same way. To send him off, 30 seconds to go, and look, there goes, all right, you want a handshake? Well, so be it. My feeling was, at least at some point, I think you got to be the adult in the room, calm everybody down. Basically, it was a close game till the end. And you know what, guys? Hey, keep your poise, do the handshake, and get your butt to the locker room, that type of thing. And I think that's the one thing that I felt Bobby missed on this. Yeah, I knew interpreted. It was getting loud, but sometimes you got to be the guy that says, hey, look, guys, keep your poise, shake, and get your butt to the locker room. That's it.
I thought it was the absolutely correct thing to do, and here is why. Because he was on the court with everything that was going on, and he felt that if indeed they got into the handshake line, it would most likely escalate at that time. So he avoided that by sending his players off. Look, did I like that he did that? No, I did not. But I thought at the moment it was the correct call just because it had become so heated and there was only a few seconds left in the game.
It was crazy to watch it in real time.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, he's pulling his guys, and there's a couple seconds left. He had to bring the guys back on the court. And and it was like, wow, is this really happening on your home court?
He never should have sent the bench guys to the locker room. He never should have done that.
That's kind of where I think I neglected that part.
Yes,
that
he never-
that was I didn't understand
That was Bush. He never should have done. He never should have done that. He just should have, when the game ended, just waved at Tommy Lloyd and said, "Hey, it's hot. Let's
and that's all he had to do.
And
is
then, yes, and
go
then
to
it would have
Tommy
been
and
good.
say, "Hey, we know it's a rivalry, but
Correct.
still,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
let's not get this thing escalated to another
And
level."
you know what?
we're good.
To that point, Jim, I would understand that. Game's over. Hey, let's just keep it. You know, see ya. Thanks. Good game. See you down in Tucson.
There you go.
And go from there. But you're right, Rock. I mean, to send those guys in early.
That was bad.
And then not even, he just turned and they ran off. I mean, it wasn't even, I mean, Lloyd
Yeah,
looked.
I think that's a bigger problem. That was
the problem
Good
right
point.
there. It wasn't so. And you guys know I'm not in favor of the handshake line. I never have been. But the way that it was handled by him sending
That was it.
his players off early, I thought that was really Bush. I really did.
And then him trying to explain that and say, Bobby, we get it. But it's like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'm not going to acknowledge all the above after this game. And then you hear Adam Miller in his post-game comments say, hey, look, we've got to figure out. It was all about them figuring out a way to win a game. And I thought it was class what he said. He said, look, we're in these games. We're competitive. He broke down the Iowa State game. He broke down those games that they lost and said, we have got to figure out a way to toughen out. He didn't even really get into the whole handshake thing. So basically, when Adam Miller, he stole the presser from the head coach.
He did.
He had more maturity than I hate to say than Bobby Hurley did, reference to the whole thing.
I will say this: Arizona State does not have a finisher. They don't, and they're too young. They make mistakes in the last couple of minutes of games. They cannot close.
Quintus.
Oh,
man. He's going to be
a
a really good player.
He's going to be good. He looks like a kid. You
I
know,
know.
his mannerisms,
Looks like
and he's just
12.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, man, but the guy can play.
Oh, he can play. Guys, my G2G protein bar game changer is I'm going to go to going to Kentucky as Arkansas power forward Adu Tiero, who led the Razorbacks win over the 12th ranked Kentucky Wildcats, 89-79. He had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals in the upset victory in John Calipari's return to Kentucky. They had lost being Arkansas 6 out of the last 7. Here comes Kentucky boasting themselves a little bit. You know, at home, everybody's anticipating Calipari. Are they going to boo him? Yeah, they're going to boo him. But this kid and that Arkansas team played like the hair on fire. This kid is all over the place. And I got to give them a lot of credit for going into Kentucky. Calipari's return back to Kentucky and winning that basketball game.
All right, before we get to Jimmy, do you want to reconsider this? Do you want to do an audible? I'm serious.
I'm going to mention this.
Okay.
I'm going to mention, and then I'm going to do a Manuch and call an audible.
So
my women's college basketball
everybody
G2G player of the game is
We couldn't
Georgia Amoore, who went 15 of 22,
Whatever.
8 assists, 43 points for Kentucky's win over Oklahoma. Now, here's the audible. I took a beating from the boys
Yes, you
today.
did. Couldn't believe it.
So here's what I'm doing.
what?
Manuch, this is for you, Mr. Suns boy.
Yes, thank you.
DeAndre Ayton in the game by the Trailblazers the other night against the Suns went 11 of 12 for 24 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block shot. In the meantime, everybody's wonder boy, Nick Richards, scored 1 point.
How about
So
that?
my G2G play of the game goes to DeAndre Ayton, former Phoenix
Yeah,
Sun.
you didn't change that till Rock and I hammered you this morning.
I just didn't put it on there. You guys blistered me big time.
Why would you even go down that road, Jimmy?
Scored 43 points.
I mean, I know you're from the Northwest, and you're politically very far left.
Oh,
but do you really think our audience listens to us talk women's college
Minute and a half.
basketball?
I didn't talk women's college
That's what
basketball.
that was.
No, it was the G2G
No.
player of the weekend.
So there was nobody
a
else
woman?
in
That was
college
it. What's
men's
wrong with
basketball.
Wait a minute. Now you're bashing women if they do something. God, you guys suck.
Yeah, Jimmy.
You
we
guys
This
are
isn't
way,
this is
way
not
right.
It's catering.
Yeah,
It's
Jimmy.
catering to our audience. It's not catering to women's basketball.
I didn't
Nothing
say that.
against women's basketball.
Yeah, right. Now
No. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't follow it. I don't watch it. I have no interest in watching it. I don't like the WNBA. I'm not a fan of it.
I know.
It's just not my choice. That's what makes this country so great.
And then there was
You have a choice.
Just
50 seconds.
43 points stood out. That's why I put it down.
All those great games with Duke and North Carolina and all the
Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag does that all the time.
Okay, but that would be a
But
GTG
DeAndre
guy.
Ayton, 11 of 12 for the
if-
Portland
if-
Trailblazers.
Here's the thing:
fact.
if I
After
didn't
the
type,
fact.
if I didn't
No, it's
type
not.
that on the
30
lineup,
seconds.
Minucci wouldn't have said anything. So
Why
I
wouldn't
put that on because I know he's not. That's not Minucci. He's almost as left as you are.
No, I would.
So I literally said, I wrote that on the lineup. And just so you folks know, we have a lineup. And he wrote his GTT. I go, really? Women's basketball? We want listeners, or Jimmy B. Our audience doesn't watch that. And then Minucci jumps in. I agree. What the,
I said, what
Jimmy.
the what?
I told
And
you I
even
got
Jax,
beat up. I
even
got
Jax
beat up.
says this is bad. And I'm like, oh, man.
Jimmy on double secret probation for
I got
for
beat
week.
up. I'm always on double secret
Yeah,
probation.
we know.
Hey, G2G protein bars, they've been a game changer. You got to try them at Costco. You can go to g2gbar.com. They're in the refrigerator section at Costco. We're going to catch up with ABC 15's Craig Fooey, but next, Jax with another local ESPN 620 sports update.
It's time for Fact or Phooey with ABC 15 Sports Director Craig Phooey. Phooey joins the guys each Monday to break down the top stories of the weekend. And as a reminder, Manuch writes the questions. Now here's
Making Mike's hot.
Craig Phooey.
Phooey joins us now, the right to the guest line, as we're coming to you from the Draftkings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. How we doing, Phooey? What's going on, my friend?
I am right across the street. I'm at the TPC, guys.
Well, we're on the same side of the street.
We're
actually.
waving to you. Do you
we're
see us?
waving. Yeah, we're sitting outside here,
Right there.
Yeah, so, all right, we do this every week with Craig Phooey from ABC 15, and we could talk some golf, but right now we're going to talk some basketball. So let's get to the first question. The Anthony Davis trade for Luka Doncic will go down as one of the best kept secret trades of all time. Fact or Phooey?
Fact. I mean, not even Jason Kidd knew about the trade. JJ Redick was wondering what's going on. Listen, when you don't tell anybody, like your head coach doesn't know, that's unbelievable, right? I mean, I felt bad for Jason Kidd yesterday at that Mavericks news conference where Kidd just had that 1,000-mile stare in his face, like, What the hell just happened? What's going on here? Why wasn't I included in this decision? That's a crazy trade, and obviously a best kept secret from Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka. I mean, unbelievable.
What's interesting, Craig, is now there's a report that there are so many NBA executives that are upset that they didn't get a chance at Luka. Would that bother you, or should that bother the Suns that they didn't get a shot at Luka? Not that he would make sense.
Well, you know what? Hindsight is 20/20, right? It's easy to start poking jabs at somebody after the fact.
Yeah.
Why didn't you pick up the phone 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and ask about Luka? Why didn't you call him in the summer? It's like it's on them, right? If you're thinking Luka's untradeable, they're never going to move him. That's on you. It's not on the Mavericks or the Lakers to ultimately consummate a deal here. So yeah, after the fact, it's like, well, wait a minute, I should have had a shot. Well, it's not like we're out there, throwing him in the middle of the ring, go, okay, raise your bid paddles here. Let's see what we got. Come on.
Coach, do you think that LeBron truly didn't have any inkling this was happening? Because isn't he the quasi general manager of the Lakers?
He is, but it sounded like he didn't know, and he and AD are pretty good friends.
Yeah.
So I think he may have been as surprised as anybody on this thing. It's interesting, though, because you're right. He kind of calls the shots wherever he's playing.
All right, Coach, question number 2. The Davis-Doncic trade will benefit both teams, and we're getting them both deep into the playoffs. A potential Lakers versus Mavericks in the Western Conference Final. Fact or Phooey?
Oh, man. I'm going to say Phooey on that. I think it benefits. I don't know who it benefits, honestly. I don't know. I mean, is Luka a good pairing with LeBron James? I don't know. Two guys that have the same mindset, hog the ball, right? They want to shoot, want to take control of the game. Luka's big issue has been his weight, obviously, in Dallas, and his lack of discipline on defense. So I don't know. We're going to see how that pairs up. And then you got Kyrie and AD going at it down in Dallas together, and that may be an easier pair to kind of get moving forward, because I don't see either one of those two guys having the huge ego that Luka or LeBron has. So maybe it benefits. I don't know. Everybody's saying that they're giving the Lakers an A and they're giving the Dallas Mavericks a D or an F. So I'm not so sure. Charles Barkley said it's a big advantage for the Mavericks. I don't know if I'm ready to believe that either.
I'm with you on that. I think it's a advantage for the Mavericks this year and maybe next. But then long term, I think the Lakers were the winner on this trade.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Number 3, by refusing to be traded and sign an extension with the Golden State Warriors, that has proved that Jimmy Butler and the Heat will do whatever it takes for him to become a Phoenix Sun. Fact or Phooey?
Oh, man. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dissect that a little bit, because the question was for him, Jimmy Butler, and the Miami Heat to do anything, right?
Yep.
I don't think the Miami Heat give a rat's ass, to be honest with you. They're done with him. They don't care where he goes. They just as soon send him to the Chinese league, I think, right now.
Siberia.
But Butler wants to come to the Suns. He's doing everything he can to get to the Suns. And I heard just a few minutes ago
that the Suns are now listening to offers for Kevin Durant.
Correct.
So who knows what's going to happen with this thing, right? I don't want Jimmy Butler here personally. I just think it's another aggravated player. Is he tough-minded? Sure. But, man, oh, man, the problems he's given the Miami Heat this year, I don't want to inherit that crap. I don't want that on my team as a coach, as an organization. But you know how the NBA is, right? The players get what they want most of the time.
Craig, do you think Matt Ishbia maybe missed the boat here, or maybe got caught with his pants down, because all these other teams are doing all these deals?
Yeah. Listen, Matt Ishbia has done everything he can to try and put a winner on the court, right?
Yep.
Even to a fault, where he's, he got rid of McHale and Cam and all those guys to get KD in here. It didn't work. Brought Bradley Beal in, didn't work, right? And so he's doing all he can to push his chips to the center of the table and say, money's not going to prevent us from winning a championship. They've got the highest payroll in the NBA right now, still not winning. There are 2 games above 500, which is kind of what this team is this year. I don't know how much further we have to go before we understand they're about a 500 team. But, yeah, I think right now he's looking at James Jones, because pretty soon this axe is going to fall on James Jones, right? It's going to be like, what are you doing to try and make this team better, even though we backed you into corner financially? I just think Ishbia's probably missed the boat here a little bit, and who knows how and what's going on in the inner workings in there. But I know Matt's got James's ear, and they're trying to figure this out. But I just don't see Jimmy Butler as the answer for this team.
All right, let's get back to Factor Philly. Bobby Hurley needed to be the adult in the room, keep his poise, and still do the handshake line after the loss to U of A. Factor Philly.
Fact. Listen. We all know Bobby Hurley's antics. We know his brother Dan's antics on the field, right, or the court. We know what they do. It's what they are. And I've said this from the beginning. A team usually takes on the personality of their head coach, right? That's kind of how things work in sports. And so if you've got a crazy guy on the basketball court,
2.5 minutes,
players are going to push the limit too. And that's what B.J. Freeman did with the headbutt of Caleb Love and all the crap going on. I don't blame Bobby for sending his players to the locker room after the game, but I would have gone over and talked to Tommy Lloyd and said, look, this is why I did that. We don't need any more punches. We don't need any more headbutts. Appreciate the game. Sorry it had to end this way. But be the bigger man in this thing and take some responsibility. And then not go into the post-game news conference and tell people he's got to vote in the Big 12 All-Conference, who I'm not voting for. And U of A is a classless team. I mean, that's just not the way you approach sports. At least it shouldn't be the way.
Should the AD have a little heart-to-heart with him on post-game procedures, Graham Rossini?
I certainly would have.
Sure.
I know Graham Rossini, and he's an awesome guy, right? He's trying to do the best for the program. And I think, maybe Bobby's playing for his life here at ASU right now with Graham taking charge and wanting to see this program go a direction that they're winning, like football has done. And this team is doing anything but winning on a regular basis. So, yeah, when you're struggling through Big 12 play, you're not going to make it in the tournament or even, make it past the Big 12 conference tournament.
And Coach, let me add to that. Adam Miller, the kid had a great presser. He talked about how the team needs to figure out a way to win. Nothing about all the antics. He was like the adult / coach breaking the game down. I was so impressed with that kid.
Yeah, and that's it. If somebody has to stand up and be the adult and be the class for the organization, I like Bobby personally. I've had some great
about a minute left
over the years. I like who he is and what he represents. But when he gets on that court, it's like, who is this guy, right? It's like, holy cow, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, ripping the tie off in the game and yelling at the refs the whole time and screaming at the other guys and then blaming the U of A for everything. Come on.
All right, Coach, last question. If the Chiefs beat the Eagles on Sunday's Super Bowl and win 3 Super Bowls in a row, they will go down as the greatest NFL dynasty of all time. Fact or phooey?
Oh, the greatest of all time. They will go down as the team that won the first to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Yes, the greatest of all time. I'm not sure it's going to be a battle between them and the Patriots.
Sure.
And you can go back to the Steelers, right, back in the 70s. There's some pretty good stories back there. I mean, there's been some darn good all-time teams. And I think the problem we have in today's day and age is we forget anything that happened 10 years ago or beyond.
I agree.
Right? It's all about right now, current. It's like we are the microwave generation with everything's on my phone right now today, and they will go down as the best team and the best.
You guys are clear to wrap whenever.
Years in the NFL, right? And that's the way. We don't care about anybody else that went before us. And so I just think there's a lot of great teams that have played across the NFL. The Green Bay Packers with Vince Lombardi, the Steelers with Chuck Knox. You look at, the Buffalo Bills, they lost 4 straight Super Bowls, but they were there as AFC champions. All these teams that have done it, the Patriots, obviously, and all their trophies. So there's a lot of good teams. The Miami Dolphins that win, the undefeated season. There's a lot of good teams
49ers
across the years.
49ers, Coach. Yeah, the 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah, 49ers. Let's bring that team up too. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right.
I don't think it's all time.
All right, last one. What's the score of the game going to be on Sunday?
Oh my gosh, I'm going Eagles in this one, guys.
Yeah.
I am going 28-24.
Nice.
Is that taken?
No, Rudy Carpenter had the same score, but the other way around.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
So
okay. I got 28-24 Eagles. I think the Eagles are too tough, too strong, too physical.
Love it. All right, Phil, we have some fun out here at the TPC.
Always, all week.
You got it. That's Craig Fooey joining us. Check him out on ABC 15 or online at Fooey on Sports. He is brought to you today by the Taco Spot. Taco Spot with locations throughout Arizona. Come and experience the tacos to talk about. For a location near you, just head to tacospotaz.com. Coming up, some great back pages, and we will share those with you next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
For sports entertainment,
Making Mike's hot now.
TPC Scottsdale.
All right, Roc and Manuch out here at Draftkings Sportsbook at the WM Phoenix Open. We're at the 19th hole, and this place is pretty cool. If you've heard the commercials, 2,700 square feet of video walls. It's massive. It's spacious, and if you have not gotten tickets for the event, that being the WM Open, you may want to consider going to WMPhoenixOpen.com and check out what they have here, because they have some daily options. You could buy a credential, which is good admission to the DraftKings Sportsbook, and they got the whole outside set up. A light buffet is included, and general admission to the WM Phoenix Open. It's $175 for Wednesday or Thursday, and then $225 on Friday or Saturday. So it's pretty cool. DraftKings venue here, open to all WM Phoenix Open attendees Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday. So you can come on down now. Tomorrow, we'll be here again tomorrow from 1 to 4, the WM Phoenix Open DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going to catch up with the Director of Operations here in just a little bit, too. And a lot of people don't know how to bet golf. We're going to kind of get into that with Johnny Avello, the Director of Sports Operations here at DraftKings. So we'll get into that in just a bit. Of course, the trades, a lot of talk about that over the weekend. The back pages in the big papers in the big cities, the New York Post, had NBA remain shocked after Mavs ship star to Lakers of all teams in an all-time stunner, L.A. Lucas. And they show him with a number 77 Lakers jersey. The Daily News, in a blockbuster deal with Mavs, LeBron gets Doncic and a real shot at another crown. All the King's horses.
Interesting.
Very good line there. Newsday has aftershocks, and the S in afters and shocks are money signs. And then in Chicago, rebuild reboots there. The odds now have changed. Here we are at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Oklahoma City Thunder are 9-4 odds, plus 225. The Boston Celtics 12-5, plus 240. Then it's Cavs, Lakers 9-1, then Knicks, Nuggets, then Mavs 28-1, which I find kind of interesting. I think the Mavs have a better team now, but we will see. If you missed it over the weekend, Fay Vincent, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, who negotiated the controversial lifetime ban for Pete Rose for gambling, if you recall, passed away at 86 years old. He died with complications from bladder cancer. You know, there was some talk that you thought maybe this would get lifted before he passed, but not the case. And, you know, he was a hardline guy. I mean, he suspended George Steinbrenner, if you remember. He did a lot of different things, but he's considered a pretty good, you know, commissioner for most part, other than Pete Rose.
We all thought there might be some, you know, coming to peace before Pete passed, before, you know, he's now passed. Still up in the air. I doubt in our lifetime, guys, that'll ever be lifted as far as Pete Rose being part of the Hall of Fame.
I think that's crazy. He was only the commissioner for 3.5 years.
That's it. Yeah.
And he is probably one of the biggest storylines.
Most impactful.
Impactful, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that the Rose matter, and then, you know, suspending George Steinbrenner, that was a big deal. He dealt with the earthquake, the World Series in California, that was a big deal. So, that's you wish he would have been able to kind of
I think so.
Fixed it with Pete Rose.
Soften that blow a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
But Manfred's still there, and I think he's heard every story, every which way, but sideways for a lot of people pulling for Pete Rose. I mean, looking for Pete Rose to be lifted. I think you look at all the during the steroid era, you look at all the Hall of Famers, the guys at numbers, they're getting shot down. They're like 30-40%. So if you look at that and you think, okay, well, if Pete's paid his penance, which I think he has, then how long before those individuals, if Pete is still not being recognized in the Hall of Fame, those guys who are in their 40s or 50s, whatever, they could probably count on, if Pete Rose set precedent, they'll probably never, ever be part of the Hall of Fame unless a Manfred releases and allows Pete to be voted on as a Hall of Famer.
Football at 50. Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. The former first-round pick today publicly requested a trade from the Browns. This is just days after the general manager, Andrew Berry, said he wasn't open to trading him.
He said, no way.
Yeah.
He's our guy. We're going to rebuild. And Stefanski, on part of that, is taking over the play calling. And that was also mentioned with him keeping Myles Garrett.
Myles came out with this statement on Instagram today. He says, my love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today.
Yeah, it's not like he played 2 seasons there and wanted out. He's played 8 years there, And so he has given his all in his prime. He probably still has a couple of years of prime left. And so he wants to try to play for a winner. The Browns are not going to be a winner.
Well, I think what he's saying with the whole Deshaun Watson thing and guys being traded, and he's just saying that and then Stefanski now is going to call the plays. I think he sees an organization headed toward chaos. Are going to be more chaos. He sees Baker Mayfield come and go, I think, unceremoniously. He did probably as a football player said, you know what, he's still a hell of a quarterback. Why are we getting rid of him?
That's it.
So I think he's got a lot of questions why. And I think that the cons outweigh the pros for him to stay in Cleveland and for him to ask to be traded and move on. And you're to his point, Myles Garrett's always spoken very highly of Cleveland. He's loved the people, loved the area. But now I think he sees that light at the end of the tunnel. It's probably a freight train coming at him and then a pure light coming at him.
He's got 2 years remaining on what was a record-breaking 5-year, $125 million extension he signed just in 2020, but he has no more guaranteed salary. The thing that's interesting, he's in an exclusive company. He's got 102.5 sacks. Just ahead of him is Jared Allen with 105, T.J. Watt 108, DeMarcus Ware at 111, and of course the great Reggie White at 124.
I can do a little update on Jimmy Butler before we get to the top of the hour break. According to
even during
Football
50, but
yeah,
sure. Go ahead.
Little Shams.
Jimmy show.
Little Shams thing
Football
here right
50.
now.
Okay, go ahead.
He just does. Here's the thing. It's not every day.
I know.
He brings something to the show other than his beautiful smile.
Yes. Yeah.
And his deep pipes.
Yeah.
So, but everybody, maybe a drum roll, Connor, or something. I mean, we have our number 3 actually bringing something to the show, content-wise,
Let me
other than his great stories that we.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, Jimmy.
It rarely happens, by the way.
Is this a football story?
Nope. This is
Please tell me
Shams.
this is in the last hour, not like something.
No,
you've
it's
had
in
for
the
a while.
last few minutes.
Okay.
According to Shams and others, Jimmy Butler is seeking a long-term extension only with the Phoenix Suns, and they are reporting that Phoenix is continuing to work tirelessly to try to get Jimmy Butler. He is looking, it may become a 4 to 5 team
3 minutes.
deal. That's the latest from Shams. I'm still not buying it. I mean, I don't want him. I get how he can play and everything. I get that.
Yeah.
But the aggravation and then the contract extension, you're still, what you said, Rock, Ishbia is continuing to back himself into another corner.
I think this is
it's a rookie owner.
He is. Yeah.
And you got a GM that really hasn't proved himself yet.
Yep.
So they're both scrambling to try to make this deal.
And and let's be honest, guys. I mean, we have for so many years since Jerry Colangelo wanted an owner that wants to spend money.
Yes.
So we got to embrace it, whatever he does, and take it. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. But we always bitch and moan about owners that don't want to spend money. And now you got a guy that wants to spend money. I just think he needs some better people in his front office. Maybe,
That's
like
a
a
good
general
point.
manager that can kind of steer him in the right way.
Somebody
to
else
spend money.
in his
You
want to
wonder,
keep James Jones, but maybe somebody else.
you wonder what has been put this so far up front that he can't rewind this a little bit, go find some other pieces. It seems like this Jimmy Butler thing is, he may be a very stubborn guy, which that's fine. He says, hey, look, I'm going to do it my
Matt
way.
Ishbia or Jimmy Butler?
Matt Ishbia to try to go make this thing happen. We talked about this earlier. I think the indications were when he didn't want to do a long-term extension with Golden State, who was ready to make the deal, and Jimmy said, you know what? No, I don't want to do that. I want to go to Phoenix. I want to try to make this work in Phoenix. I'll do an extension. If we can all agree to agree, it sounds like he wants to come here. But I'm like you guys. I'm like, well, okay. So you sign him to another 4 years. At what point does it become the pattern of the malcontent that he's shown in every city he's been at, that thing doesn't backfire? So Matt says, look, if I get a year to 2 years out of him and he starts to become a knucklehead, then I'll do whatever. But at least in the meantime, I've put myself out there, to your point, Rock, and I want to make this thing work.
We'll see. We'll see if he's going to eventually play alongside Devin Booker and
50
Kevin Durant
seconds.
for the Phoenix Suns. See if they can make the deal work. All right, coming up in hour number 2, we will actually get a reaction from Arizona Republic's Greg Moore, of course, the sports columnist. He will join us. But up next, Johnny Avello will join us, the Director of Sports Operations. Frank Sanders also will join us. So a busy hour number 3 is coming up as we are coming to you live from the Draftkings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. We'll tell you more about that on the other side. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B right here on ESPN 620. All right, so our hope for the next couple days, 1 to 4 each and every day. As I mentioned, going to the break, this is kind of one of the best kept secrets, the WM Phoenix Open DraftKings Sportsbook, a must-see 19th hole experience where you can actually go out to the tournament and then you can come in here and it's free if you have a ticket that you can purchase at WM Open, PhoenixOpen.com, which I think is so affordable. It gets you in here to DraftKings Sportsbook. It also gets you general admission to the actual Phoenix Open and a light buffet included, and you just pay for your drinks, and they even have some drink deals out here too. So it's a smoking deal, $175 Wednesday and Thursday, and then $225 Friday and Saturday. But what's really fun is the sportsbook. And joining us now is Johnny Avello joins us, who is the Director of Sports Operations for DraftKings, and he's with us here today. And Thanks for having us, by the way. And this is like your man cave, right?
Oh yeah, this is so cool. You're so right when you talk about the sports book. But what you guys have down here in the Scottsdale area, and what I have up in the Las Vegas area is some decent weather at various times of the year. So if you want to go outside and enjoy a sports book atmosphere, you have that too, which is very rare to see. Vegas Sportsbook, there's one place that has it, and they copied this place here. So that's kind of a new trend that's kind of happening. I look to see more doing that.
So you're talking more, Johnny, the outside, being able to sit outside. You got the big TVs out there, and you got the service and the bars and all that. So they really don't have that in Vegas. It's just they're all in casino. They're all in hotels, right?
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Most places didn't. Well, remember this: that a sports book is just an amenity to the casino.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of amenities to the casino.
Very much. So.
Whereas this is its own building. This is its own unique, structure. So it's different. You don't see this. This doesn't happen in Las Vegas. An individual sports book. A sports book is attached. It's just part of what a casino is.
I think the experience of sports bar / sports book is what this is all about. I mean, people come here. They, like as Rock said, you can eat and watch games all over. I mean, the magnitude of TVs around here, but that's the feel I like. It's like a sports bar where the sports book broke out.
You don't even have to gamble if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You just come in and have a drink and something to eat. So you're entirely correct.
It's interesting because we've been fortunate. We were here for the national championship. We've been here for other events, a Monday Night Football event. And one of our listeners and one of our regulars, Charles Barkley, was in here, and he used to go to another place that we used to go to, and he said, "Nope." He goes, "I go to DraftKings," and we were coming here one day, and it was 11 o'clock. You guys are open. He was the first one in line, and we go, "Charles, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Hey, it's customer service here. I think he likes to put bets down. He doesn't use an app. Like I use the DraftKings app, and I'm very much on it like every day." But I think there are still a lot of people that like to put a bet in, and then they want to cash their bet.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really cool, and that's what I think is really kind of set you guys apart.
They want to touch. They want to touch the
ticket.
They want to touch the ticket. They want to touch the money.
They want to touch the money. All right. So WM Open, you've been there. You've been with DraftKings a long time. Was there when they first came to you and they wanted to pick your brain on let's kind of marry up with the PGA Tour? How did that all come to fruition? Because when I remember this, when all the licenses came out for gambling, and when I heard TPC Scottsdale got one, I was like, wow, that is so out there. Where did this idea come to kind of marry the two, golf and a sports book?
Well, we had a partner with somebody here in Arizona, and when we went down the list, this looked like that could be a great partnership. First of all, golf is really big with our company, golf wagering.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is exploding and it continues to grow every year. And when we looked at the spot where this could be positioned on the course with this event that goes on
this small event, right?
It was a no-brainer.
People on a Monday, it's crazy. So talk about wagering in golf, because I know a lot of people, it's typical football, basketball. That's really, really what they do. Are there some, recommendations you have for if you want to get your feet wet? I always, we have a buddy here. He's in here. He's former caddy, and he's telling me, he goes, I like to bet golfers to finish in the top 10, because that way you have a little bit more of a chance to kind of maybe win your money back. But are there better odds in certain ways to do the props with golf? Because I'm not really big into betting golf. I never really have, and I stick to the basketball and the football.
Golf, there's a lot of different ways to bet golf. First of all, you can win. Who's going to win it outright?
Sure.
That's the most difficult, because especially on the tour today, there are so many good players out there.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a favorite, and at times during some golf campaign, whether it's a 2-3 year campaign, there's going to be one golfer who dominates, and that's happened. Tiger Woods has been a dominator. I mean, we were putting up odds at 7-5 at the beginning of a tournament.
Wow.
7-5 to win a whole tournament. I mean, think about it. That's crazy. And now Scotty Scheffler plus 280, not even 3-1 to win this tournament. Now, I grant you that some of the big guns aren't here, and that's why his odds are a little short. So now you got to fish down a little bit and see if there's anybody in that is like Sam Burns. Is there somebody out there who's 30-1, who I can at least have a shot at, but you still got to get by Scotty Scheffler, right? So where do I look for other types of wagers? I think matchups are great where it's a golfer against another golfer.
Okay.
Who's going to finish better, or a group of golfers. There's 4 or 5 guys. Can I pick who's going to finish the best out of this group of 5? So I think there's other ways to bet it, little props that you might find that are interesting. And in-game wagering, in golf wagering, to me, that's the most fun. I personally, when I wager, I wager that way. I can't wager with our company, but living in Las Vegas, I do have some opportunities to play. I really like in-game wagering, and in this particular sport, in golf wagering. So the tournament is always up, at least with us. Not everybody does it the way we do it, but the way we do it is the tournament's always up, so you can always find a golfer's price to win the whole thing. Plus, you can find bets where the next hole, will he birdie it? Will he bogey it? Will he par the hole? Those type of bets.
So those are more in the in-tournament bets.
I'm just very interested how they set the handicapping. Do they look at the past performances? Who's hot? How they do against that course? I mean, there's a whole minutia of handicapping a golfer coming into a tournament. I mean, top 25, I get all that, or top 50.
Or how they finish a Pebble, which was this last tournament
exactly.
yesterday, right?
But I mean, when you're breaking it down, are you looking at, well, he doesn't do very good in Phoenix, or he does, you know what I'm saying? How much is going in that blender before you handicap?
Well, you just asked 6 questions, and the answer to all those questions is yes, 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 yes.
All the above.
All of that, plus more. That's exactly what we have to look at. We look at, who does well here, who doesn't do well here, who's coming off a couple of bad rounds. Of course, we keep their price up. Sure. And we know we have some algorithms to help us out. At one point when I was making the odds, for the retail locations in Vegas, I didn't have all the tools that we have today. So, we have so many tools now and so much data that we can be pretty precise on the odds. That doesn't mean we win all the times. It means that we give really fair prices on what golfers.
What's that checklist, like 50, over under 50, the checklist to go through before you handicap?
That's
give or take?
Yeah, you just mentioned 6 in 5 seconds, and I said yes. And if I gave you more time, you could probably name another 20.
Johnny Vella joining us here from Draftkings, the director of sports operations. So 16 is the most popular hole in golf, or at least in this tournament. Are there prop bets for that tournament? So for that hole, I mean?
Yes.
So I can say, okay, Sam Burns on Thursday is going to birdie. I can bet the birdie or par or double or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Okay.
When he gets to that hole. Now when
he gets to the hole.
Yeah.
So you can't bet it today?
Not today, no.
So so that's when you can only do in-game or in-tournament, correct?
In-tournament, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when would those odds go up? Is it right before the hole? Like in college basketball, it's typically we can't get odds until 24 hours before for the game. Is that kind of similar to golf in a way?
You'll be able to bet the hole when they're on the hole prior to that, because because we need some lead time. Not for us so much, because what we did 2 years ago, we brought a crew down here and we put the our odds makers in that 16th hole at the tee. And so those guys were there with live odds. But the problem is that the consumer doesn't get it that quick. So we'll have to stay a hole ahead.
Interesting.
But that is it. My wife was asking me about this tournament down here, and she said, "Aren't people quiet when the golfers are hanging? Don't the golfers require that you're quiet when they're hitting the ball?" I said, "Yeah, under most circumstances, but not here, and especially not on that hole."
It's a heck of a tournament. I think it's so cool that you guys are here. All right, so we turn our attention to there's a small game on Sunday. How much do you see a place like here, and then you have one at Wrigley, where people are coming in to put their bets? Are you seeing it that day, the day before, or do you see a lot of people, because it's Super Bowl, they're coming out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to place their bets?
Well, if you take a place like this, when we open up the line, which is Sunday after the AFC game is over, people will come in and make their bets then. Sometimes they'll say, I want to see the line early, and I think that price is too high or too low or what have you. So we'll get a flurry on that day.
Okay.
And then probably the next couple of days, we still taking bets, but it's a little bit slower. Now, I'm talking about retail locations only.
Yeah.
On the app, it's constant.
Yeah,
It's just
sure.
we're in 29 states, so that just continues to flow every day. A lot of bets, although 90%, 85, 90% of the action is going to come in that weekend, Saturday, Sunday. For here, people will come in. They'll say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be near a sports book. I don't have an account, but I want to make a bet on the game. I'm going to stop in and make it today. It's Wednesday, Thursday, so then I don't have to come back. So you'll get all kinds of different scenarios of why people want to make their bet at the time they're making it.
Let me ask you, Johnny, and you've been in this industry your entire life. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot and see how good your memory is. Do you remember a year, let's just say Super Bowl, or any game that you can recall where the line changed so much, like a 180? Because we talk about sometimes where the lines will adjust 2 or 3, but nothing like a touchdown or something like that. Is there anything that comes to mind that you recall that, we saw a huge change?
I think the 49, I've seen the spread move a couple of points. Very rarely it goes more than that. If we have a questionable quarterback, that's when we have to put the line up. We certainly can't hold back. So sometimes, if a game's up and a quarterback doesn't play, that could certainly shift it 3 or 4 points or more. Games I remember were the 49ers playing, I think it was the Chargers, and the line was 15.5 and it went to 18 or 19, something like that. I've seen, kind of run a little bit going that way. I've seen the favorite switch from 2.5 to maybe 1 the other side, but nothing under normal circumstances, nothing from 2.5 to 6. And the reason is because we've seen so many games play out the whole year. Our power ratings are about as strong as they can be. This game has not moved at all. So when you talk about which games didn't move, you may go back to 2005 Super Bowl and say that game opened 1.5 and it never moved off of that.
Okay.
And that would be rare because this one has not moved yet.
All right, last one. Manuch and I, we've been doing this 20 years, and we still have yet to meet a wise guy. Where do they live in Vegas? They in like some basement somewhere, these wise guys that make these lines? Are there really wise guys?
Now, yes. So, I call them sophisticated players.
Okay.
That's what they're called. And
So is that being disrespectful saying wise guy?
No, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Sophisticated players means that they do this for a living, and they don't always win. But their goal is to hold 53-54% for the year. So it's a very slim margin. Sometimes they'll come in to the sports book or bet on the app. The limit could be 10,000 on a game. They'll only bet 1,000 or 2,000. They don't always bet what the full limit is because they may not like that game as much as others. They're just very good money managers, and they're very good at knowing what the line should be, and they can get information.
And
sometimes they don't do it on their own. Sometimes they just know people that can give
they can swing a line, right? They can move a point.
Yeah. Well, here's what my stance is on when a sharp guy who I consider to be very sharp comes in and bets a pro football game for $5,000 and your limit's 100,000, you'll take 100,000 off anybody. If he comes in and bets that game, I'm moving that line. I'm moving that line from 2.5 to 3 or 1.5 to 2, just off of that $5,000 bet and him.
That's amazing.
But I've had guys come in and bet $1 million on a game and didn't move the line. So it's about respect of who's betting.
Love that.
That's what moves the line.
Good stuff. Johnny, thank you. This is good stuff.
Thank
we
you, Johnny.
appreciate it. We're going to tomorrow. I think you're going to join us tomorrow at some point, and I want to get into props when it comes to Super Bowl too, and some of those crazy props because I know there are some good ones. So we appreciate you, Johnny. Thank Johnny Avello joining us here, the Director of Sports Operations for DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale. Coming up next, we're going to get an update from the columnist for the Arizona Republic. Greg Moore will join us to talk about what's going on with Kevin Durant. That's next right here on ESPN 6.
So you could build a case probably for 3 or 4 guys on each side that
All right, coming to you guys here.
case of being an all-star.
Devin Booker, of course, you heard from Booker, you heard from Kevin Durant outside this trade with Luka Doncic, and joining us now, the columnist for the Arizona Republic, Greg Moore, who has a story up right now with the headline, "What if Luka Doncic trade for Anthony Davis leads to LeBron James to the Phoenix Suns?" Huh, Greg, what are you hearing out there? What are you hearing?
Listen, man, all I know is that this is the biggest trade that I can think of, Luka for Anthony Davis, right?
Yep.
And sports in general, and the NBA in particular, specialize in, I sure as heck didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And I can think of a million examples, right? Right here in town, ASU football, nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Think a little bit bigger. A few years ago, if I'd have told you the college football playoff would have had 12 teams in it, you'd have told me I was crazy. A few years ago, if I'd have told you Kevin Durant was on the way to town for, Bridges and Cam Johnson, you'd have told me I was crazy. So let's think about this for a minute, because I don't believe in Luka and LeBron as a duo. I love Luka's game. I love LeBron's game. Even at 400 years old or whatever he is, the guy's still incredible, right? Like, he's still amazing. But they do very, very similar things. Now, I can think of plenty of examples where guys with overlapping skill sets in the NBA don't work together. Oh, maybe Brad Beal and Devin Booker comes to mind, but there's a million examples. So if that's the case, and the Lakers are looking to the future, Luka's the future, not LeBron. That means they've got to get up off LeBron. Now, LeBron's got a player option at the end of the year. He says he's not going to exercise his trade clause, or no trade clause. He's not going anywhere. I get it. But what if the Suns, who just got 3 picks in that trade with the Utah Jazz, and they've got Bradley Beal, and they've got some stuff that the Lakers kind of need. Like, they've got big, long bodies that kind of hang around by the rim. Thinking Plumlee, thinking Oso, Yusuf Nurkic. Like, they've got some stuff, and maybe you get a third team involved, and the next thing you know, LeBron and Bronny come to Phoenix, Brad Beal and some spare parts go to the Lakers. God only knows what the third team is. But, Joe, that could be a lot of fun. LeBron, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker making a push for a championship, that could be a lot of fun.
Is that more fun than Jimmy Butler with that scenario?
Yeah, 1,000 times more fun, because LeBron doesn't miss 40 games a year dyeing his hair and making coffee. I love Jimmy Butler, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be funny. I love Jimmy Butler. Like, that story about him punking the entire Minnesota Timberwolves roster, like taking the B team and kicking the starters' butts and not even scoring a point. And the fact that he basically bullied the Miami Heat into the playoffs and bullied the Heat into the final. Like, I love all of that stuff. But when do we see it anymore? I don't know if he's still got that gear. And if he does he have it enough to keep it rolling for a season or two? Like, can he do it through the entire stretch? I am simply not a fan of guys who are injury prone, who are late in their career, and there's still the issue of an overlapping skill set. Jimmy Butler and Devin Booker are very similar guys.
Greg, is it I be damned if you're Matt Ishbia to try to make this thing work because he's all in? He's in the deep end, really no side of the pool to go, no floaties on, nowhere to go, that he's going to try to make this work come hell or high water?
Well, what I love about what Ishbia is doing is Ishbia is signaling that he's willing to do whatever it takes to try to get a championship out here. He's not
3.5 minutes
around saying, well, it's whatever. Like, he's firing coaches, he's bringing in new coaches, he's rolling over the roster, he's approving trades. Like, he's doing what he can. But in this case, I think actually, if it's Beal, Booker, and Durant, just sit on it, man. Figure this out, fellas. This isn't about bringing in anything different than what we've got. We've got enough talent. You guys need to just light enough of a fire under everybody else, stay healthy, and make a push. We saw these guys at the beginning of the year. They started off, 8-2. Just before losing this last 2 out of 3, they were winning 8. They won 8 out of their last. They won 8 out of 10. Like, this group, this collection of guys can play. It really looked good with Beal coming off the bench. Like, this can work, but just stop looking for somebody to bail you out. honestly, if I'm Devin Booker, I get one of those metal folding chairs. I prop that thing up right by the court, wherever you got to walk to get onto the practice court. And I sit there and I say, you want to get on this practice court, you got to come through me. You got to prove that you want it as bad as I do. And he might have to go back to Bandana Booker and whoop somebody's tail in the hallway. Like, this is just, right? Am I wrong? Like, this doesn't work. Like, these guys together are 90 points a game. They're 90 points a game. You spot me 90, I will find you the other 20. I promise you. I will find a way to get some stops. They just have to stop looking for somebody to bail them out. Ain't nobody coming to save you unless it's LeBron, in which case I make a trade for LeBron.
I would make that trade in a heartbeat. And what do you think about the current conversation where the reports are now that the phone lines are open for the Phoenix Suns if people want to talk about Kevin Durant?
So, listen, man, I'm not trading Kevin Durant, right?
Okay.
Like, I'm just not. Kevin Durant has, 15 All-Star selections. There are exactly 4 guys with more All-Star selections: LeBron, Kareem, Kobe, and Dr. J. And I don't know about you, but I've heard of all those guys, right? So I wouldn't trade Kevin Durant
About a minute and a half.
less than like a prime Magic Johnson or a prime Michael Jordan. Like, I'm just not trying to hear it. If somebody gives you a Ferrari or if somebody gives you a Lamborghini and says, here, don't tell me about a mechanic. Don't tell me about the fact that you can't afford to put gas in it. Don't tell me about the fact that you don't know where there's a racetrack. You got a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Figure it out.
All that being said, what's your gut tell you, Greg? Coming up Thursday, I think it was at 2 o'clock our time when it's all said and done.
Yeah, my gut says the Suns are going to make a move just because Ishbia is like that, right? Ishbia is not the kind of guy who's going to sit around and wait. He's the kind of guy who's going to make a mistake moving forward as opposed to making a mistake sitting still. If I know James Jones is going to urge for Ishbia to sit still and wait, but Ishbia is going to do what Ishbia is going to do, and then James Jones is going to turn around and make the best of it. My gut says the Phoenix Suns are going to do something. I just don't think I do it. And again, Kevin Durant, like, show me what equal value is, please. Explain to me what equal value is. If Luka can get traded, anybody can get traded. But that means Booker can get traded. That means Durant can get traded. That means anybody can get traded. But show me what equal.
All clear.
Like, please.
I'm with you on that. About 45 seconds left. When you speak about something's going to get done, does that something, at least in your mind, include Nurkic or not?
Yeah, probably so, just because he's not in the rotation, right? And they seem to be doing real well with Nick. He's flying around. He's getting a bunch of rebounds. He's doing exactly what you wanted the guy who's going to play center to step into. Like, he's doing what you want him to do. So, yeah, Nurk is expendable. So the gut says something will get done. And then if you look at what's available, you got 3 draft picks, you got Nurkic. I could see that. But again, for me, figure it out, fellas. You've got enough. You can make this work. You have made it work. You went 8 out of 10 in the playoffs. You're darn near, you're at the Western Conference Finals at that point. Figure it out, guys.
Greg, thanks for jumping on last minute, man. We appreciate it. This is a heck of a time to talk basketball, man. And what they did, the NBA, to do this the week of the Super Bowl. Oh man, it's unbelievable.
Is a ton of fun, isn't it, man?
It is now. Yep. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No doubt, fellas. Y'all take care. Thanks.
That's Greg Moore, Arizona Republic, AZ Central sports columnist, up there on azcentral.com right now. The story of LeBron James to the Suns, if that is a possibility, is brought to you today by Weekapaw and the Weekapaw Casino Resort. That's where we'll be for Sunday in the big game. You can win cash with our $25 Squares game and much, much more. You'll hear more next as Jax with an ESPN 620 update. Frank Sanders from Nick. Auburn's ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and make Mike's hot.
Manuch with Jimmy B, right here on ESPN 620.
All right, joining us now to talk about LeBron James. It's Frank Sanders.
He can.
What do you think?
I know
Frank?
he could.
What do you think, man? You think? I know there's some game on Sunday, but no one's talking about it. It's all about NBA right now. LeBron James' sons. Would you be open to that?
LeBron James to the Suns?
Yeah, that's
absolutely. I'd be open to that, without a doubt.
How about Jimmy Butler? How about
Without a
Jimmy Butler's
doubt.
sons? Jimmy Butler's sons.
No Jimmy Butler to the Suns. But I don't think he makes us better. He'll be getting what he wants, but I don't think we'll be getting what the Suns need right now. So that would be the difference in that trade talk between LeBron and Jimmy Butler.
How about Kevin Durant to the Mavs? You would be
Who is
okay.
that?
Kevin Durant to the Mavs. You okay with getting rid of Kevin Durant?
KD. Everyone else knows KD.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be if I'm AD or if I'm everybody else that's over at the Mavs still that way. I would love that. That would just be a good opportunity for again you're going to see some superpowers come together. Of course, they are an older bunch of guys. They're not the young guns that used to be in that Kyrie, Clay. If Durant went that way as well as AD, you still got older guys just competing. But at the end of the day, we've watched the NBA over the last 3-4 years, and the big men have dominated, and that's Giannis.
Yep.
And our guy Jokic over at Denver. And so
Jokic.
You don't have that. You just out playing basketball, patty cake.
What is it with a guy like Jimmy Butler as a malcontent? Did he not get enough hugs as a kid growing up or something? What would you prefer that to?
No, Jimmy B. You know what's funny about him is that this is not even chess that they're playing. This is just head games they're playing with the media because they know no matter what happens, he's still going to get his money at the end of the day, and the move is going to happen because you don't want a guy to be that disgruntled in the locker room. Yeah, Miami has been a good team for a long time. They haven't gotten over that hump because of the other teams that they've had to face coming out of the East. But at the end of the day, Jimmy Butler is a man in the locker room that, again, nobody wants cancers in the locker room. Nobody wants a guy that's distracting from just playing basketball and doing something, you can do to help all the other guys that's on your team. So at some moment, this is it's a sad story that had to take off that way, but it's business, and sometimes business is ugly.
All right, so we got this big game coming up here on Sunday. You look at the pros, the cons, you outweigh them. Knowing you, Frank Sanders, as literate as you are in reference to breaking these games down, what are some of the pros and cons that could be flipped for this game in favor of the team you choose?
Oh, the pros would be that that they literally no one gets hurt. That's a pro. Another pro would be that AJ Brown comes out and they actually find a way to get him the ball multiple ways. The receiving core for the Philadelphia Eagles act like a core of guys that can go out and just dominate with speed, power, and the ability to get into end zone. Both of those guys on either end, that'd be Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. They can really take over a game, and so I would hope that's in the big game. And a pro, just defensively, these guys find a way not to allow Patrick Mahomes to rush for over 50 yards. I think they got a chance.
Frank, we'll ask you for your pick at the end of this segment, but I would be remiss if I did not ask you about a certain defensive end in Cleveland who wants out of the Cleveland Browns, and should the Arizona Cardinals be on that list waiting in line, they have plenty of money available to go get Myles Garrett.
You know what? That would be a dream come true for a scenario of a player of his caliber coming to this team. It's like getting J.J. Watt, and you still had good opportunities and good years with him. The leadership, the tenacity, the ability to garnish guys to come around and play. Cleveland offensively have not been explosive, but defensively they have been one of the tops competing against in the AFC North. Unfortunately, their offense was turning the balls over so much it didn't make much of a difference with that three-headed monster over in the NFC North. But to get Myles Garrett, that would be great for the Arizona Cardinals. I know the coaching staff would absolutely love him. The locker room needs, Jimmy B, a couple more pieces of veteran leadership that could change the mindset and the mentality of playing 17 weeks of football, and I think he'll be a great addition for that.
Don't you think that moves like that this offseason need to be there for the Cardinals, for Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort to keep their prospective jobs? Don't you think this is a do or die type year to get them off the schneid with 2 losing records back-to-back seasons?
I'm not sure if it's a do or die. I mean, I do see that the seasons have not played out the way they wanted to. But I got to go back. Like what we asked for a couple of years ago was we wanted a new general manager. Mike Bidwell gave us that. We wanted a new head coach, and he gave us that. And Jim and Gannon. And then we got 2 offense coordinator, defense coordinator. So we got everything we wanted piece wise. This year, I agree with you in this, is that it's pivotal that we go out and get some players that we can add to the fold that will be, game-changing type players. The only thing that we haven't gotten, Rock, in this conversation is that we have not gotten a new quarterback. And I know that was kind of the question mark on the table. If we can get a new quarterback, we might be a different football team. I'm not saying that's out right now. I'm not saying that's out of conversation behind the scenes, but I'm saying I like what we have off coaching-wise, but I think that we need to go out and be aggressive on the market. Monty needs to pull the trigger, man, and get some other guys in that can really be some good name guys that can come out and play some football. Man. You really need that.
I hear you say impactful players. So as Jimmy said, Myles Garrett, and how about T. Higgins on the offensive side? Talk about impact. Talk about we're ready to turn this bad boy around. How do you think that would go over?
You know what? We've been screaming the same thing, man. This receiving core we have, watching Trey McBride take over and catch over 100 balls this year, 111 catches to be exact. That in itself, and to make his first Pro Bowl, kudos to those guys that made to the Pro Bowls this year, man. Even to the guys that were alternates this year, that's not always an easy task. But however, to add a name like T. Higgins to this receiving core would be absolutely fabulous. I mean, one of the benefits I had when I got here, I had Rob Moore. Gave me my opportunity to be a rookie of the year my first year. Same thing with Anquan Bolden. He got here and he had a good quarterback and another receiver on the side that could give him a chance to come out and play. Our receiving core needs a changeup that can add just at different levels, from 25 yards to 50 on down to what we can do in the intermediate area, and then just be explosive with the abilities that the guys do have.
So have you picked out your shoes for the Open yet?
I got 3 outfits right now, Rock, that I'm telling you, when you see me, you need to give me a hug, and you need to give me a brother dap, hand wide open, chest come in, just one chest to the right side, you know what I'm saying? And then just step back and say, bro, you killing them. That's what kind of outfit.
Are you going to color coordinate one day Chiefs, one day Eagles, and one day Cardinals? What kind of attire we got here?
Look, I can't pick a team like that, man, because it'd be too many eyes on your boy out there. I don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to that, but I do have a dog in the fight between me and Rock and who looks the best. And I know I'm gonna beat him this year, like I've been doing consistently.
Oh man, you're killing me. All right, Max Homa is who I'm going for. We're at the Draftkings Sportsbook, so Max Homa is going to win the 2025 WM Phoenix Open. So so if you'll put that bet in, you can split it with me after when you collect your money. All right.
Hey, look, Rock, I'll split anything with you, but the way my parlays have been, man, I got 4 flat tires right now.
You guys are clear to cut.
I don't know what to do with myself, but I'm gonna keep betting though. I still got an engine block, I still got some windows, and I got some mag wheels that I could use. I'm gonna bet on DraftKings so I can make my parlay happen this week. I know that.
You know how it works.
All right,
That's
so
awesome.
who's your winner and score for this weekend's big game there, big fella?
I'm taking the Eagles, man, 31-24, but I do have an over and under. I think my over and under will definitely be 10 under, 15 over on how many times the camera going to pan in on Taylor Swift.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, a little over under on Taylor. Okay.
We could do that. I like that. All right, buddy. If you see me out here at the Open, it's my twin brother, all right? So it's not me. Got that?
I got you, brother.
See you,
I got
buddy.
you.
That's Frank Sanders joining us here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B from the DraftKings Sportsbook here on ESPN 620. We got one more to go here on ESPN 620.
Tune in.
best law firm.
Send it to him.
Pebble Beach has a popular champion, Rory McIlroy.
I'm going to go ahead and make Mike's hot.
I mean, Rory McIlroy, easy for me to say, wins Pebble Beach, which was great. That was a fun tournament to watch. The weather was pretty crappy early on, but yesterday, absolutely beautiful. Big numbers, too. We saw some big numbers, but we are out here at the TPC Scottsdale Draftkings Sportsbook, which will be here tomorrow as well from 1 to 4. Great place. Go to WMPhoenixOpen.com. You can get tickets to come in here as well into the tournament. This place is awesome. What a cool place. The sportsbook is separate from the actual bar and restaurant, but there's a big outside. And as we had Johnny Avello on, the director of operations earlier, there are a lot of sportsbook casinos like this in the United States where there's an outside too, where you can watch all the action. And where this is, you get to see everybody coming in and coming out. And coming out is always fun.
boy, don't we know that, Rock?
Yeah.
It was last year.
Yeah, we know that being being part of the Big Tent activity, especially about 5:30. We should do our show till 6, Jimmy. And those people that were coming out were little, lubed up a little
just
bit,
a little gassed.
Yeah, a little gassed. And some of the shows we would see as people walking out was very interesting. So we know that very well.
All right, let's get to, by the way, I didn't get to mention that Frank Sanders was brought to you by the Putting World. That'll be our home on Wednesday. And if you are trying to figure out a way to get to the WM Open, if you want to come here to DraftKings, you could park at Putting World, and they have a shuttle, which will take you right here. So look into that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be there on Wednesday, and they're doing unlimited putting, drink specials. They're doing a hole-in-one contest, and they are going to be really busy with concerts at night and stuff like that, too. So that's the Putting World at the Promenade in Scottsdale. All right, let's get to, what do we got? Our State 48 Roofing Get Your Call question of the day.
For a free quote, repair, or installation, head to state40roofing.com. Follow them on social media by searching #SexyRoofStatus. You can go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. What team will do the best this year with their recent trade? Will be the Lakers and Doncic? Will be the Mavericks and Davis, Fox and the Spurs, or Levine and the Kings? Well, so far, Lakers and Doncic is at 50%. Second is the Spurs and Fox at 41.7%. Mavericks and Davis, 8.3%. And the Kings/Levine, 0%. Again, go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter and vote.
So why do you find that interesting or not interesting?
I think a lot of folks' perception is
it's the perception of LeBron and Luka.
And I think that they, for a lot of folks, it looks like they can coexist, that there's enough basketballs to go around, that they'll find the big man to kind of scratch that itch.
They will before Thursday.
On paper, defensively, and if Davis is healthy, and then with Kyrie Irving and the other big guys, that's a big team. That it's interesting how a lot of only 8.3% are thinking that that's the way to go because it doesn't have the sex appeal.
That's correct. But this is not the sexy deal, but it might be the best deal. And that is people that voted for the Spurs.
That's what I did.
And getting De'Aaron Fox. Because now De'Aaron Fox can play off the ball or he can play with the ball when Chris Paul is on the bench. He's got a bona fide star in Wemby in the center's position, and he has some other scorers in that lineup. I look for the Spurs to make a serious push here as the season winds down.
Have you seen Wemby play lately?
Oh, my gosh.
It's like the light bulb went off.
It went on. Yes,
and
it did.
He's slamming. He's shooting. He's like almost – he's unstoppable. I mean, I think of LeBron in his prime time, or a lot of guys, even like Barkley backing guys down. The guy could go for 50 a night if you want it.
If he wants to.
Yeah, but I mean, I've watched him, and I'm like, obviously this kid has got confidence.
Right.
He's not afraid to do his thing.
Interesting tonight for they are not playing Wemby tonight. He's sick. He's out. So just a heads up.
Speaking of tonight, the Suns, Portland. That game will start at 8 o'clock, and you can listen to that on the
Does
Mothership.
DeAndre Ayton go off again? He had 25. He made Nick Richards look like he was yesterday's old milk.
I mean, you see the Suns beat Golden State. Did they take the night off on Saturday night?
Oh, man.
I mean, they give up 60-some points in the first half, 60-some in the second half. Guys, be a little. These are chances for you to at least make a move up.
Winnable games.
Very winnable games. Now, tonight they'll probably blow the doors off of Portland, I hope. But then you got a tough one in OKC on Wednesday.
Yes.
And, you got to keep serve with the other 4 or 5 teams just trying to stay in the play-in tournament. Oh, that hurts to say
I
that.
bet it does.
The play-in tournament and get your butt into the playoff side of the playoffs versus the play-in side.
I think the thing, you go back to Saturday, these back-to-backs, they just don't work in the NBA. Teams can't seem to win straight back games because what they got, they beat Golden State handily.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, and then
all right, so
the
why
next night you get blown out by Portland?
Well, because they thought they could just get off the bus. That's it. And they just went through the motions, and it cost them. And
it's hard to win on the road back to back.
It's always been hard to win on the road.
Yeah.
No matter if it's back to back or even if you have a day off in between. Road games are difficult in the NBA.
Okay, so hey, DA, where was that when you were here at the Phoenix?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me that. I know.
Well, I think we've talked about this. We've had Tom Chambers. We've had other coaches on that said, I think coaching had a lot to do with DeAndre.
I agree.
He needed a light or a match lit under his ass to get him moving. We know he's a hell of a player.
Sure.
But it just seemed like he played when he wanted to play. We've seen games where I remember being in a game where they were playing Giannis in the Bucks, and he went off.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a hell of a player. He just didn't fit here.
Remember the Doncic DeAndre year of the draft?
Right.
He always seemed to have a little chip on his shoulder versus Doncic.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great.
Rightfully so.
Where's that for the other 71 games?
Because Rock made a good point. That is coaching, and you have to fire that guy up all the time. Look, is that a flaw in his personality? Absolutely. Because this is his job. He should want to play his best night in and night out.
He always responded to CP3, though.
He did.
CP3 would get in his grill.
He would get in his grill.
Say a little something to him on the bench.
Yep.
He seemed to respond that way. But I think when Monty Williams challenged him, his reference to his ethic, not his work ethic, just his game in and game out, as far as playing big boy basketball, for some reason he was defensive. I don't understand that. I'm like you, Jimmy. You play your butt off. You're making all this money.
Yep.
Why would you be so sensitive to somebody coaching you?
I'm anxious to see what's going to happen over the next 48 hours in the NBA.
I am too.
It's fun now.
The Suns are going to make a move. It's
fun
been a
now.
lot of fun. But are we going to see some moves? Are we going to see somebody like a Chris Paul get moved, or somebody that you least expect? Just to kind of fill a hole somewhere, because we know LA's not done, right?
No, they're not done.
Are the Mavs done?
I don't think they're done either.
Are the Spurs done?
I don't think the
there's
Spurs
some guys
are done
that,
either.
I'm
just saying that.
Some made some moves that are going to really make a difference.
All I can say is that if Jimmy Butler ends up here, meaning with the Phoenix Suns,
oh man,
I know. I just don't. I don't like it. I'm on record as saying now that I don't like it.
That's correct.
I don't want that headache in the locker room. Damn straight it's correct. However, if he gets here and he is Jimmy,
you got to embrace it.
You got to embrace it. That's it.
I think that since he's pushing so hard to get here, I think he will be on his best behavior and play his butt off to get him there. Now,
all right, but okay, so he plays well, Manuch. So what?
Okay.
And then this team doesn't go anywhere.
There you go.
And then you're stuck with this guy.
That's it.
Well,
You're backed into another corner.
Yeah,
so
you
maybe,
ready to pay him?
Maybe if you don't give him the extension, you rent him for the rest of the year, and then he looks at.
But isn't that part of this deal? I mean, he's
Yes.
not going to Golden State because he's not getting an extension.
No. He turned down an extension. He didn't want an extension with Golden State. They offered it.
2
to him.
minutes.
He said, "I don't want it. I want to go there. If I'm going there on a rent-a-player situation." He's the guy that shot down the extension. So if the Suns say, "Hey, look," and if he says, "Well, I'm coming to Phoenix, I'll need an extension," that changed the dynamic. That's when the Suns went, "Oh, okay."
What do you guys think the fan base is going to be if this happens and they do get Jimmy Butler.
They'll
and it'll be a nice honeymoon.
It will, yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
a 20 game
all of a
honeymoon.
sudden he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And then
you're host.
Minute and a half.
Then
That's
what?
it. That's
then
it.
what? They were
Yeah.
like, oh, come on.
Or it's a 20 game honeymoon, and then all of a sudden he's not getting the ball. He's upset because guys aren't playing hard enough, or he gets into it with a couple of players.
I would love to get sit at a bar and talk to Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and
I
find
know.
out what do they think about Jimmy.
Yeah.
If he is the right fit. If for all we know, those guys could be tight.
Sure.
And they could be texting back and forth
They
and
could be.
talking and saying, hey, we got to get your ass here. And
1 minute.
And we could beat the Mavs. We could beat Oklahoma City. We could beat, whomever.
Do you sell your soul to the devil to get the guy, knowing what's down the road with him?
50 seconds.
I'm just not in favor
And like
of it.
what Greg Moore said there, Arizona Public Comment said, look, play at the hand you're dealt. If you need to make a move, a slight one, and just play it out, and then Matt Ishby and James Jones figure
40.
it out at the end of the year.
Again, we're out here at the TPC Scottsdale Draftkings Sportsbook. We'll be back out here tomorrow at 1 o'clock as well.
30.
Putting World on Wednesday. Again, the big game at Weekapaw. Make plans to join us Sunday. Doors open at 2. Everything is up on our website at Roc and Manuch, as well as all their social media platforms. Everything you need is there. So we hope to see you on Sunday, as well as tomorrow. So for Connor back at the studios, for Jax, for Jimmy B, for Manuch, I'm Rock. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow, 1 o'clock.